What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me, but I just got home off of an early morning flight, right? First thing through the door, I want to see my family. I love my family. You know, I'm a family man. I'm an advocate for families, right? Second thing, I got to get that hot shower because I got to throw the threads on. The threads make me feel like $1,000,000, but the third thing through my mind and all throughout the trip is that I gotta have that Tiege pack. Tiege makes my life uncomplicated. It's uncomplicated skincare for men. The first way that I started specifically was their level 1 system. It's a daily face wash to get rid of the dirt and grime on your skin. 2 times per week exfoliating scrub to get rid of the dead skin cells. An AM moisturizer with SPF 20 because you should always be protecting your skin from the sun, and a PM moisturizer to help your skin stay hydrated and healthy throughout the night. Here's the thing. My favorite part about Tiege Hanley is that every box comes with an instruction card that tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. They really making the process of achieving and maintaining amazing skin for men uncomplicated. In addition to amazing skin, members of Tiege Hanley get tons of benefits, including at least 20% off the retail price, the ability to customize your box, exclusive monthly deals, you can pause and cancel at any time, and you get free shipping. And because Tiege Hanley is sponsoring today's video, they're offering my viewers an amazing deal, right? Just click the first link in the description and you get 30% off your first box, plus a free gift. It's an amazing deal. You got to get started today. You're not out here trying to look like a dusty. And if you travel as much as I do, which I'm sure most people don't, but you know me, I'm pushing my bag chasers in order to be in the top 5%, top 10%, top 1%. We got to make our lives uncomplicated, and Tiege Hanley is no better product. You got to look good. You got to smell good. And you can't be looking like a dusty. Make sure you get started today. Click the link in the description. Get that Tiege pack. Feel the Tiege, my friends. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for continuing to rock out with the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels. What is happening out here in these streets, man? What is happening in the streets? How do y'all feel today? What is going on? What's the word, y'all? What we got popping? Yeah. We running it up. Hold on, wait. Let's do this. Let's establish some protocol here, because I want to make sure that we're doing things the right way, and I want to make sure that we all running it up and we all have an understanding. Okay. I know that we all like to just kick it and we like to just, say what's going on out in the streets. But this is what we're not gonna do. And I love my people. Do not come into my show and start promoting other people's shit. I hate to start it off that way. Shout out to my church people. Shout out to everybody that's getting it. Shout out to everybody that's running it up. Do not come into my stuff and start promoting other people's stuff. Is that what we do here? Is that the protocol? Is that how we go about doing things? And I hate to do this. I hate to even have this conversation in a general sense, but we don't come into somebody else's show and start promoting somebody else's show. And I love y'all. And you know that I am the type of person that always makes sure that I give props, and I like to showcase everybody, and I like to promote other people's channels, and I like to promote everybody else's products and stuff like that. But come on, man, what are we talking about? It happens on multiple different platforms. It happens on all of my platforms. People come in and I'll be checking into the chat and I'm trying to see what the general sentiment is so that I can add value into people's lives. And I see people starting to promote other people's stuff. I'm like, what is going on? So I know sometimes it's just an honest mistake. It's not a big deal. We gonna do what we do. No. Listen. I'm cool with people. Shout out to Brittany B. I'm cool with people promoting their channel and stuff like that. But when I think y'all get it. I don't think that we got to go into it. It's not a big deal. It's not something that we need to emphasize or make a much, much bigger deal than it really is. But all I'm saying is, come on, y'all. Come on, man. Let's keep it G. Let's make sure that we stay on top of things, and let's get it together. All right, so let me get a general idea of what's happening in the chat. Oh, shout out to Mika. Mika got the flu. Hey, y'all send a prayer up to Mika. Shout out to Mika. Let me also make sure that I acknowledge Mr. DJ on Cash App. Shout out to Mr. DJ. I appreciate you for the fireball. Shout out to my dog Mike, that dude says for love. And I appreciate you on Cash App. I appreciate you, big dog. You are absolutely awesome. Also want to give a shout out to all of the early super chatters. Link Jack says officially a bad guy. So shout out to my chasers. Shout out to the chasers. If y'all not a part of the Patreon, the link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. David Williams says, you feel me? In my Be More voice. Shout out to David Williams. I appreciate you. Speeds the B says, that was one hell of a message last night. Hey, are we getting better? Are we getting better or are we getting better? Are we getting better or are we getting better? Because I think that the messages, even on Wednesday night, is getting crazy. I don't know. I'm kind of going into a zone right now. Lester AMG says, ditched the monthly Patreon payments and went in for the full year. I'm fully committed and grateful for all of the jewels that you drop. Bag chaser for life. Listen, y'all. We got some of the greatest jewels that you can ever drop. It's in the chasers. And I'm not going to ask you to do it. I'm just going to say that if you're looking to rock out with a group of people that's going in the direction that you're going, and I'm going to say this over and over and over and over again, you know where to go. You know where to find us. We not hard to find. We right here. We right here every single day. Can I get a general idea of how y'all feeling inside of the chat? It looks like we going to have a pretty interesting show today. That's what it looked like. It looks like we're going to have a pretty interesting show. Yo, I've been hitting the gym every single day. Every single day. Since I moved into the new building, I just caught a Uber here instead of going to get my car. Every single day. Y'all like my performance review yesterday? Oh, performance review is crazy. Determined. Exquisite, energetic, reinvigorated, feeling good, celebrating the new job coming. Clean, just hopped out the shower, ready, amazing as F. Stock Club, that's happening this weekend. Motivated, glorious, optimistic, reinvigorated, chilling, jet life. Sister, distracted. Still late to the meeting. Wonderful, stupendous, marvelous, blessed and highly favored. Had us rolling. Shout out to Bitcoin Boss. Great. Let me see what else. Getting your study on. I like that, Star Man. Blessed to see another day. Encouraged, alive. Incredible, amazing, says Mona D. Magnificent, forward looking, excited. Prepping for your first accounting internship interview. Make sure you look at that interview like a king. Profit sharing time, said Brittany B. Fired up, cool, righteous. Got to be respectful, getting ready for the weekend, tricks and freaks. Vainglorious, focus. My sister is watching. She has a job interview coming up. Can we send a prayer up for her, please? Sure, Trap. So let's go ahead and send that prayer up real quick. Lord, we ask that you intercede on behalf of Trap's sister for her interview coming up. Bless her to be well prepared. Also, bless for it to be more of an interview of them, for her to determine if this is something that she even wants. Let the option be hers. And then let her be able to negotiate what she wants if she chooses to get this position, and for it to be hers to turn down, not for them to extend to her. Bless her to be insightful. Bless her to have so much wisdom. Bless her to be well prepared. Bless her to also be impressive in every way, shape, and form. And if it's for her, if it be in your will for her to go down this path, then let her get everything that she can up out of it. And then also let her benefit from it to leapfrog into the next opportunity that's going to be absolutely, positively great for her. You say where 2 or 3 is gathered in your name, there you are in the midst of thee. We ask for everything. And we would never, ever petition on the behalf of somebody unless we were speaking and petitioning on behalf of our friend, our Lord and Savior, in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. So now, Trap, here's the thing. Let it go. Once you pray about something, you go into it confidently, and regardless of the results, you got to understand that it is what it is, and it's exactly what it's supposed to be. All right? Don't go into it worrying. Don't go into it nervous. Be well prepared. Tell her to make sure that she get her trap on and run it up. All right? Send that prayer up. Whatever happens is exactly how it's supposed to be. So shout out to your sister. What else we got going on today? Tiege Hanley, 30% off your first order plus a free gift. Make sure that y'all get that Tiege pack. The link is in the description. Get it for the fellas, ladies. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to go and get it for you. Make sure y'all get that Tiege pack. Tiege Hanley, all right? CJ say a lot of people are looking to get information from others, and it's more of a essing on you, and what you ain't doing and what they're doing really don't like the energy from it. But hey, I don't know what that means. But we don't bask in negativity over here. We pray for people, we run it up, we give good information, and we continue to have great energy. All right, so y'all ready to get into the show? I think it's gonna be an interesting show today. God know who we talking to. Brittany, God know who we talking to. What up, Mr. Lot? All right, y'all, let's go ahead and get to it. Y'all know what it is. First part of the show. We got a show to get to today. Quick Hits. Quick Hits is a segment of the show that we don't necessarily think that we need to dedicate an entire segment to individually. We got a lot to talk about today. We got to go into Fani Willis or Fani Willis. We have to get into Chicago. We got to get into Brandon Johnson. Tiffany Henyard. Oh, my God. I got something coming up for y'all tomorrow that's going to be absolutely exciting. We got to get into housing, real estate, lots to talk about today. But first things first is that we got to report on what's going on over in Kansas City. So, Super Bowl, Kansas City, and apparently there was a shooter that injured multiple different people, including children. Take a look.
Mass shooting at the Kansas City Super Bowl victory parade has left one person dead and nearly 24 people with gunshot wounds.
The rapid gunfire sent thousands of panicked fans running for their lives. In an instant, the sound of joyous cheers and joyful chants were replaced with the sound of screams and sirens. Tragically, at least 8 young children, excited fans of the Chiefs, were among those wounded.
We have team coverage of this deadly shooting. Chris Wolf gathering reaction for us tonight. But first, here's what we know about today's attack. It was nearing the end of the Chiefs' victory parade. Hundreds of thousands had gathered in downtown Kansas City to cheer on the team, when suddenly...
That sound crazy, man. That sound absolutely crazy.
Phones capture the gunshots in the crowd just outside of Union Station.
We just heard this big, loud bang, and everyone was just told to get down on the ground and get close. So I grabbed my son and we got close to the fence.
Police swarmed the area near the old train station, taking 2 men into custody, while this video shows spectators tackling a third man as he tries to get away through the crowd. Paul Contreras was one of those good Samaritans.
I heard somebody yelling to stop this guy, tackle him. He got close to me. I got the right angle on him, and I hit him from behind. And when I hit him from behind, I either jarred the gun out of his hand or out of his sleeve.
Sadly, one person was killed during the shooting. She's been identified as Lisa Lopez Galvan, a mother of 2. Her son was also hurt but is okay. 2 of her nieces are still hospitalized. And they are just some of the 24 others wounded or hurt during this gunfire, many of them children.
We have had 12 patients that we have treated, 11 of which are children with 9 gunshot wounds. None of those patients, all of those patients we expect to have a full recovery.
At least 2 adults, though, remain in critical condition tonight. And while no motive for the shooting has been announced, it may be the result of a dispute between armed attendees in the huge crowd. KC's mayor saying what many Americans are feeling tonight.
Parades, rallies, schools, movies, it seems like almost nothing is safe.
A dispute amongst armed attendees in the crowd. That is the current sentiment, or what they're currently saying is happening, is that it was a dispute among armed attendees in the crowd, and the children are now the ones that are suffering from it. It's also been communicated that one of the main people, the woman that passed away, was a radio DJ host or a radio DJ or something like that. So she was a host of some kind of show, I'm assuming over in Kansas City. And so, you know what usually happens in those situations? The same thing that usually happens when a drunk driver goes out and hits somebody and kills somebody or whatever. What usually happens is it be the innocent people that suffer as a result of it. The woman, I just pulled it up, the woman that was killed at the Chiefs Super Bowl parade or celebration was identified as a radio DJ or a radio host. It says at least 21 other people were wounded in the shooting, including children and teens. 8 had immediately life-threatening injuries. 7 had life-threatening injuries. 8 had immediate life-threatening injuries. 7 had life-threatening injuries, and 6 had minor injuries. Lopez Galvan, whose DJ name was Lisa G, was an extroverted and devoted mother. 2 childhood friends that work with her at a staffing company told the Associated Press. They said that she had attended the parade with her husband and her adult son, and they were diehard Kansas City sports fans who were also shot. This is messed up, bro. This is absolutely messed up. And I don't like seeing anything like this, and this is unfortunate, but, you know, it's almost like we are our own worst enemies. It's like we can't get nothing right. Nothing ever goes right. It's just absolutely horrible 100% of the time, and I just don't understand why we can't just get it right. Why we can't just go out and celebrate. It's a Super Bowl. Sports is supposed to bring people together. Anyways, there was also a 13-hour barricade where 3 officers were shot. I'm sure that excites some people because a lot of people don't like police officers. But 3 officers were shot. Check this out.
Now to a collective sigh of relief tonight for one community that spent this day on edge after an armed man fired shots at police officers. Late tonight, that barricaded suspect was taken into custody.
D.C. police say the man shot 3 officers early this morning in Southeast D.C., sparking an hours-long standoff. Here's what the frightening situation sounded like to neighbors. Wow. Leon Harris joins us now with more on how this chaotic scene finally ended. Leon?
Well, Sean and Jim, this standoff with police finally ended, well, more than 12 hours after it all began. Where it all began, on Hannah Place, southeast near Benning Road. The suspect, who was barricaded inside that home all day, firing at police officers, peacefully surrendered around 8 p.m. tonight. He's been identified as 46-year-old Julius James. D.C. police were serving a warrant for his arrest around 7:30 this morning when James fired multiple shots through his front door, hitting 3 D.C. police officers. A 4th officer was also hurt, but not by gunfire. Those officers were working with the Humane Rescue Alliance to arrest James for animal cruelty. When he finally surrendered tonight, officers found dozens of dogs inside that home.
There was a number of dogs inside there, and that was the reason that the officers were there this morning. You know, unfortunately, we did have 3 officers that were injured. Doesn't appear that they're life-threatening, but still is very traumatic for them as well as their family, as well as the officers on the Metropolitan Police Department and the city as a whole. You know, these are officers that go out every single day, risk their lives for the citizens of the District of Columbia, and you know, it's appalling that what happened this morning.
You know, the interesting thing is that every day these guys go out and they never know. They never, ever know of whether or not they're going to come home at night. They never know. They have no clue of whether or not they're going to make it home at night. And they go to actually serve an arrest warrant or check up on or something or whatever, and a dude just start letting go shots out of the front door. Just shooting through the front door. Amazing. Amazing. Anton, that's your family? What? It's crazy, man. But, you know, listen, it's sad. It's unfortunate. And I don't like to see this type of stuff happening. It's a very, 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 very dangerous job for a lot of these people to be on a regular basis. And you just never know, man, at this point. I'm at the point in my life where I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen on a day-to-day basis. Prayers up for your family, Mika. Absolutely prayers up for your family. You never know what's going to happen on a daily basis, man. It's like they go up. The police officer was your family? Oh, man, that's messed up. Too bad you got the flu. I might have to have you on after hours tonight, but you got the flu. I don't know. I'm going to call you after the show. We're going to talk about it. But, yeah, man, it's absolutely messed up. So, listen, I had another thing that I wanted to talk about on Quick Hits today. But I'm going to go ahead and forego that because I want to jump into this Fani Willis thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's your Quick Hits. I'm not going to read Super Chats just yet. I'm going to come back to the Super Chats. But I want to go into this Fani Willis thing because it looks like Nathan Wade is on the stand testifying. And he's being grilled by this, by whoever this is that's asking him questions. So I want to just deep dive. I want to go straight into the Fani Willis hearing because I've been watching it all morning. And then we're going to get over into the rest of the show. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get into this hearing, ladies and gentlemen, and see what's happening out here in these streets. Let me see. See if I can get some volume.
You're right. Showing you a copy of what I marked as number 13. If you could take a look at that and tell me if that is the confidentiality agreement that you signed with the district attorney.
It is.
Okay. And this basically says you can't talk about anything that happens inside the DA's office, right?
No.
It doesn't say you can't talk about it?
No. You said it basically says that I can't talk about anything that happens inside the DA's office, and that's not what...
Are you tendering this exhibit?
I am, yes. We would tender 13.
Ms. Cross.
Fail to see the relevance, so I'd lodge a relevance objection, but otherwise...
Ms. Mershon, relevance of this?
Judge, it's relevant to his testimony. If he signed an agreement that says he can't talk about things that happen in the district attorney's office, I think that's relevant to this. I also think...
How?
That because it's motivation in his testimony. I mean, whether or not he's going to testify to something. It's also been certified. I mean, it's part of the record as from what Fulton County gave us.
Sure, but he hasn't said that that's preventing him from testifying in any way today, is it?
Go on, and I can ask him about that.
Yeah. Mr. Wade, is this confidential agreement affecting your testimony today?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Let me see. The contracts judge and the invoices that I wanted to admit all of his invoices and contracts with Fulton County. I have them certified. I guess I have them certified through Fulton County, so I wasn't sure if I needed to do that. I just wanted to know if the state had an objection to those before.
Well, they haven't had. I don't think they've had a chance to look at
them. Shout out to you,
so that's the sole remaining exhibit in line of questioning here?
Yes.
And in terms of the follow-up questions, would it just be for him to say what's reflected in these documents themselves?
If they have an objection to the certificates that Fulton County has given, I would admit them through him because he could recognize them.
But assuming they're admitted, would there actually be anything substantive he would add other than the documents themselves?
No.
Right.
I'm going to read Super Chat shortly.
Okay. So subject to that qualification, do you have any other
This is
questions
live.
of this witness?
May I just have a moment?
Sure.
Thank you. Is it possible actually we take a quick break?
We're getting there.
Okay. Thank you.
And we certainly have the opportunity over lunch to take a look at these documents and work out whatever we could.
Did you discuss your relationship with Miss Willis in social settings?
Help me understand your question.
Did you discuss your relationship with Miss Willis in social settings?
No, I heard the question. I just need to understand what you're asking me. What relationship when...
Your personal relationship with Miss Willis, unqualified, I'm sorry. Did you discuss your personal relationship, your private, personal, romantic relationship with Miss Willis in social settings?
No, ma'am.
You've never discussed it in social settings?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever discuss it in front of Robin Yurdy in a non-social setting?
No, ma'am. Miss Willis is a very, as am I, we're private people. Not, our relationship wasn't a secret. It was just private. So, not at all. I wouldn't have discussed my relationship with Miss Yurdy or anyone else publicly.
Okay. I actually did have some questions just about the
What?
We want to just...
Our relationship wasn't a secret, it was just private, but then it came with all of the money, right?
Other than the invoices say what they say.
It just that yes, that they say what they say.
All right.
Just talk about them. That's fine. No.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. At this point, we'll take a break. I'll ask the parties to take a look at. What had you marked that as a defense exhibit?
I have his contracts and his invoices that I'm about to mark. So before he leaves me, I just want to make sure that the state doesn't have any objections.
So those are marked as
They're about to be marked. As
Exhibit 14.
14, 15, 16, 17, and 18.
All right. So 14 through 18. So I'll ask state to take a look at those.
I will take a look at those and see if I can match them up with the certified documents that were.
All right. And then we'll address whether they are tendered for the record when we come back. And from there, then.
Yo, I'm about to start saying that, yo. That's what I'm about to start saying. The next time that y'all ask me something that I don't want to answer before in the future, I'm going to say, listen, man, look, my relationship is not a secret. It's just private. We're very private people. Now, earlier, I was looking at a testimony, and let me rewind this a little bit. I was looking at a testimony a little bit earlier, and it was of the person that he apparently had did business with and initially contacted as far as making sure that he talked to them as far as when he was filing for a divorce or when he initially filed for divorce. And they were on the stand and they were testifying, and this was the guy. Let's go back to it a little bit, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit more so we can do a recap.
My text chain show, so no.
That we've never talked about Willis and Wade having a relationship.
Not directly you and I, no. We talked about my health. Okay. We talked about...
Let me fast forward, because I was watching a little bit of this earlier.
So the first objection was...
Or took a
one assertion.
The foundation ground, she is not made the foundation.
So I think...
That's why.
But I can get him off the stand. Thank you. And, did you all have a law firm together?
We did.
Come on, man. Don't do this to me.
That all of these witnesses do not want to be here. They are adverse witnesses.
I understand.
Yes.
I do not have knowledge.
And across them. Thank you, Judge. All right, Mr. Bradley.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have knowledge that their relationship began in 2019?
I do not have knowledge, but again, I have consulted with the bar as late as yesterday at 4 o'clock. I am not here to...
So this man is a lawyer.
Your testimony is that you do not have independent knowledge.
I cannot... I was advised by the bar that Rule 1.6 of confidentiality applies, and that I cannot reveal anything that I saw or learned. And that if the court is asking me to do that, that an immediate certificate of review should be asked. And so I'm not here to misrepresent to the court or to say anything inappropriate or anything. I am here because I also have a law license, and I'm not trying to lose that.
And so, Mr. Bradley, can you finish that thought? Is saw or learned, just period, without qualification whatsoever?
Judge, I'm going to refer to what I was told by the bar, that Rule 1.6 of confidentiality applies, and that I would be asking for an immediate review by the Supreme Court.
Sure, but applies to what?
Any communications is what the person at the bar told us.
Any communications?
So like he did not qualify.
If you talk to Mr. Wade, that's covered.
Well, Judge, I don't know. He didn't go into those specifics, but this is what was told. I was sitting there with my attorneys, and this was what was told to us, to state that Rule 1.6 applies. And we gave them the scenario, and this is what they told us to do. And this is what I'm doing at this particular point.
Judge, and we have no knowledge if the bar was aware of the affidavit that Mr. Wade filed, but that significantly changes the privilege. He waived the privilege when he put that in the affidavit, so that's one of the reasons I wanted to call him. That's a waiver. He put the relationship in the when the relationship started, and put the relationship in his affidavit. He put a lot of information in that affidavit that would waive certain amounts of privilege. So he disclosed this relationship. So basically what we've got is we've got Mr. Wade being able to say what he wants about this relationship, but then we're not allowed to ask questions to qualify that. So that's not how it works. They either get to admit it or they don't.
This lady's a bulldog. I like her.
We're just talking about a relationship, though. How does that open the floodgates to anything he's ever told an attorney during representation?
It doesn't, and I'm not asking him that. I'm asking for his knowledge. They were law partners, and as I go through the questions, I think he has knowledge of things that is not something that Mr. Wade specifically told him. I also think there's a fraud exception to a lot of this, even if there was a privilege, but I don't think there was for most of it.
This lady's a monster.
Your Honor, but he's already represented that he has no knowledge about that.
I don't think we've actually gotten anything to that extent yet. I think we're still making our way through it, which is, I think he's taking the position that he's not willing to share anything Mr. Wade ever told him, period. Which that's a broader representation of attorney-client privilege than I've ever heard. And
so that means you got to talk, homie.
I think that's what we're trying to parse out. Is if the relationship starts, I've never heard anything that said everything before that point is privileged. Do you have something that I should know? Yes, sir.
Apologies, Judge.
That's fine.
Before that relationship, these questions aren't being established. It was 2018, December. The last question was directly related to a point in time after that, during which the relationship, attorney and client, would have been already established. He has an opinion from the State Bar of Georgia. If he's going to be required to testify, he need ordered by the court on any of these issues. And Judge, I understand how delicate this is. You can phrase it in 1,000 different ways to try to make him say something, but you can't unring a bell that he puts out into the universe where he has violated that privilege. We're going to get to go back 6 months from now and say, oh, well, we shouldn't have said that. It's not acceptable. It violates hundreds of thousands of relationships in this state that we rely on in order for the justice system to function. This is an attorney-client privilege issue. We've done all the diligence we can as far as looking up the relevant laws, the relevant information. We do not have a waiver from the client. The client is present. Whatever.
There's no question. Why we're not barreling ahead is because I recognize the privilege. What we have to determine is actually what that privilege, the scope of it, and when it started. And I don't think we've even gotten close to that yet.
I apologize, Judge. I thought December 2018, Mr. Bradley testified directly that is when the retainer and the divorce proceedings were beginning. The issues being brought up.
Here's my question.
Potentially, if I've been.
So we have.
Correct.
But does that necessarily foreclose anything from that point onward?
Here's
if they
my
started
question.
talking about
Couple different things. How can we, because I want to get to the beginning of Nathan Wade's testimony because I think we missed a lot of that. How can we sit here and not remove a person from prosecuting different cases and they're basically on and being investigated about what it is and what role that they've played in other people's cases? And improper relationships and ethics. This is all one big mess. This is 100% a one big mess. Let me go back into this real quickly, and I want to see what it is.
Prior to filing this motion to disqualify, you and I were friends, correct?
Yes,
And in fact, I supported you when you ran for judge in 2016.
you did.
I wore your shirts. My kids wore your shirts.
Ms. Merchant,
Fines.
your personal opinions have no relevance.
Okay.
I mean that in the best way.
That's
all right?
completely fine. I
Let's
will
get to
move
the
on.
point.
Thank you. No. Totally fine. Thank you. You filed for divorce from your wife on November 2nd.
Nothing like having a good white
2021.
woman.
Yes,
They gonna come for you.
And,
They gonna do their
in
job.
that
They don't care
divorce
about their
proceeding,
relationship.
Did you file answers, things such as interrogatories?
I did.
Okay. And so interrogatories are where you're responding to things that basically answers that the other side is asking.
Yes, ma'am.
And I've got your complaint for divorce. I'm just going to mark it for the record as Defendant's Exhibit 2. The first interrogatories that you answered, those were December 27th, 2021. Is that right?
Thereabout. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in those, you were asked different things, but those are sworn. You actually swear to those. You verify them, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Based off of what I see from white
And
women
so that
today,
verification is where you're swearing under oath that everything in it is
only
true.
thing I would do is hire them to be my monster. To go
And
after me.
let's see,
You need somebody to get at you, get a white woman.
you were asked if you had any documents which relate to the purchase of gifts by you to any person other than the defendant with whom you have or had a relationship, romantic relationship, from the date of your marriage, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you responded under oath that you didn't have any documents to that.
That's correct.
You again responded to an interrogatory. You updated those responses on May 30th, 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you actually sent those directly to opposing counsel in the divorce?
Yes, ma'am. I think so.
But in that one, you answered none again to that question, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So May 30th, 2023, you said that you didn't have any documents showing any purchase of anything with someone that you had a romantic relationship with.
I believe the interrogatory was gifts.
Okay.
Not anything, gifts.
And I have it if you want to take a look.
So you lied. You basically said that you didn't spend no money
Mark, okay,
on
so
anybody
just
that
for
you
the
had a
record,
personal
I've got your
relationship
complaint
with.
for divorce marked as number 2. I've got the verification and the interrogatories from 2021. I'm going to mark those as 3. And then your May 30th, 2023, I'm going to mark as 4. Judge, may I approach the witness?
You may.
Thank you. That is what I marked as 4. This is what I marked as 3. Okay. Thank you, Judge.
And do y'all realize that this is all over
All
some
right. If
box?
you take a look at what I marked as 2, 3, and 4.
They wouldn't even be on trial. He wouldn't even be on a stand right now if it wasn't for the idea that you had to see it through and you just could not have any level of dick discipline. And I say this all the time.
And are those, that's your divorce complaint, and then your 2021 interrogatory and your 2023 interrogatory,
Shout out to Jackie
correct?
Cotto.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, are they a fair and accurate representation of what is filed in that case?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd move to admit those into evidence.
And this is 2, 3, and 4?
It's 2, 3, and 4, yes.
All right. Any objection from the state?
The divorce?
He could have just said no. After all of this is done,
3 and 4, and subject to Ms. Merchant's representation that 2 is a filing of divorce. I just don't, the divorce complaint, I don't have that in front of me, but subject to that representation, no objection.
after all of this
All
is
right, and
done,
by show of hands, any objection from other defense counsel?
this comes back
Seeing none,
to,
defendants 2, 3, and 4.
because we can do all of the lawyer
This
talk
should be
and we can go back and
Roman-
forth
well,
about
just
this
on
100%
2, 3,
of
and
the
4,
time.
admitted without
But when it
objection.
comes back down to it, it comes back down to the fact that you could not keep your D in your
in
pants.
2023. That's the one where you said no, that you didn't have any documents relating to the purchase of gifts, that you had a romantic relationship with someone, right?
Which interrogatory are we talking
Number
about?
4, 2023.
Which number in the interrogatory?
Number 4.
So, which number interrogatory are you referring to?
It's defendant's exhibit number 4.
I have defendant's exhibit 4 here.
Uh-huh.
Which number interrogatory are we referring to?
Oh, which number out of the questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Hold on. It is number 20, 24, 25, 26. I believe it's right. All of them.
You could have just kept the D in your pants and you wouldn't have this problem. They say it was over some bread too. No, the bread came as a result of the box. But you got the bread, but is the bread actually worth it? Because you would have made more money long term had you never even got the box. That's the thing. Yakar says he is smarter than her. Is he? Because if he was, then he wouldn't be sitting on the stand in the first. See, the smart people not on the stand. The smart people is not necessarily the people that went to school.
I guess they're all number
on the
1.
stand.
So, number 1 again, and then the third number 1. He didn't put page numbers on. He didn't put any on the file. I don't know how to tell you what number 1 because when you responded, you put number 1 on all of them.
Can you just point to it?
This one. This one, I'm talking about this number
Men
1.
trying to sleep their way to the top.
2 number 1s that are capped.
Okay.
You can't throw that D around and think you gonna get to the top. You ain't no
We're
girl.
asking if you have any receipts for restaurants, hotels, bars, things like that.
The first number 1?
I believe it's the second number 1.
The second number 1? Okay.
So it asks you if you have any receipts for things like restaurants, bars, hotels, things like that, where you accompanied a member of the other sex romantic partner. Correct?
You're not confused. You know what it say.
It says identify any and all occasions.
Okay. And so it says to identify any and all occasions where you entertained a member of the other sex, okay, who's not related to blood, and including dining, drinking, restaurants, bars, pubs, hotels, all of that. Okay. And what was your answer to that?
You're right, Trini Life. Only women can get away with that, not men. Men can't sleep their way to the top. Women can.
None.
Okay. So May 30th, 2023, you prepared this document.
I did.
Submitted it.
I did.
And it says none as far as entertaining a member of the opposite sex.
It does.
Okay. No hotels, no bars, no restaurants.
Correct.
Okay. You again updated that. Let's see. You updated it on December 22nd, 2023. And I'm going to mark that as defendant's number 5, and I have copies. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Shouldn't
And then
even
you
be in this
updated it
situation,
once
big
again
dog.
on January 26th, 2024, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that one. May I approach the witness again, Judge?
Is that what you're marking as Defense Exhibit 6?
Yes, Judge. I'm marking number 6 is the January 26th, 2024 interrogatory, and then
You done went your
and
whole
then
life,
number
big
5
dog.
is the December 22nd, 2023 interrogatory response.
All right. Are you tendering those at this time?
Yes, I am.
All right. Any objection from any counsel to Defense Exhibit 5 and 6?
Yes, Judge. No objection.
Thank you, Ms. Cross. Seeing none others.
Luckily, I have tabs for you. So now that you have those, let's just talk about those for a minute. Those
Dude look
were
like he done aged a lot,
verified,
don't he?
So sworn under oath.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And one of them was December 22nd, and then of this last year, so last December, and then one was just recently submitted in January, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In May 10th, 2023, Judge Thompson heard a motion to compel in your divorce case as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you were actually held in willful contempt.
Yeah, I'm going to object to the relevance of
his credibility is relevant, Judge, and if he was held in willful contempt for failing to provide answers and documents, I think that's relevant to this court.
How is that a prior false act or crime of conviction or anything else allowed for impeachment under the rules of evidence?
I'm not offering it as a prior bad act or something like that. I'm offering it towards his credibility, Judge, which you get to determine. If he's made misrepresentations in these pleadings, you're here to determine whether or not he's telling the truth or not. So if another court has held him in contempt and that's part of the divorce proceeding, I think it's relevant.
But just contempt generally can be for many different things. Like a failure to produce is not necessarily a false act, right?
Right, and he's welcome to explain that.
He may not have to. Ms. Cross.
I object to the relevance of that. That's clearly not a proper impeachment. We're going pretty far afield into divorce matters that don't have any direct relevance to anything that's pending before the court. I object to the relevance of that and need further
All right, I'm not seeing that being a proper grounds for impeachment. It's sustained.
Okay, let's talk about this December 22nd, 2023 verification. I tabbed it for you. Again, they asked you if you had any documentations showing proof of this relationship, proof of any relationship, correct?
I'm going to object to the phrasing of that question. I don't believe that's an accurate read of the interrogatory.
All right, let's be precise, Ms. Merchant.
And you, please read it. I want to make sure I'm accurate. Please read it.
Which number?
This one actually has a number. I tabbed it for you, so you should be able to open right to the page. It's number 22. The question specifically is if you have any tangible evidence of any nature in your possession or control or any other person or entity which relates to any manner of your activities to any person with whom you've had a sexual relationship during your marriage. Tangible evidence is notes, cards, letters, photos, films, recordings, documents, tapes, video recordings, receipts, invoices, and other tangible evidence.
Yes.
Okay. And you answered that you did not have any documents to that effect, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that was on December 22nd, 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
You updated those responses again after the motion to disqualify was filed, though, correct?
When was the motion filed?
January 8th, 2024, when I filed the motion to disqualify you and alleged that you had a romantic relationship with Miss Willis.
Yes, ma'am.
After that, you updated these responses, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And so your new responses, you now changed your answer from that you didn't have any of this to you're asserting the privilege under 24.5.505, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Man, get this dude up out of here, bro.
And both
What
of these
we
are under
talking
oath.
about?
Yes, ma'am.
You also updated your response to the question about spending time with someone other than your spouse for dinner, drinks, things at restaurants, bars, hotels, or the other
Can't
person's
change
home,
your
correct?
answer.
Yes, ma'am.
So in December of 2023, you said no to all that, and then in January, after I filed my motion, you said privilege to all that, Fifth Amendment privilege.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And just to be clear, was it?
Sorry, I'm going to object the characterization of Fifth Amendment privilege.
Man, this is dirty, bro. I don't know
That's what I was just about to
there's
ask
no
you.
way
So
that you can't say that
privilege
this
covers
is not dirty.
infamy or Fifth Amendment privilege, correct?
So it was a privacy privilege is what I updated my response to do. Once you filed your motion to intervene in my divorce action, I then figured that you were in talks with my former wife's divorce lawyer.
Okay.
And because of that, I asserted a privacy privilege because I didn't want the proceedings of my divorce to bleed over into the proceedings in this case, which is the case that obviously you're involved in.
So your answers in December of 2023 that you didn't have any documents about any travel that you took with Miss Willis, that wasn't true though, correct?
They didn't ask me about any documents regarding Miss Willis.
A romantic partner. They asked you for documents regarding a romantic partner.
I
So
don't
I'm
know.
sorry, I inserted Miss Willis's name. Let me rephrase the question. They asked you for documents about travel with a romantic partner in December 2023. And you under oath said you did not have any of those, correct?
I did not.
Okay.
And they asked me about gifts.
Right.
I've never purchased a gift for Miss Willis.
And they asked you about receipts for dinner, receipts for drinks, hotels, bars, and restaurants. And you said you did not have any of those.
I did not and do not have any receipts for any of those things.
Okay. And part of the civil discovery, they say that even if you don't have it in your pocket, if it's within your purview, you got to get it and give it to them, correct?
Your Honor, I'm going to object again to the relevance of the question.
What do you mean you're going to object to the relevance?
I think she's asked him about
If he lied, he lied.
The answers are already in the record, and
All right. To the extent you're trying to establish a prior mistruth, Ms. Merchant, I'll allow you to ask a few more follow-ups, but if it's not there, we have to move on.
Thank you. So in 2023, December, you said you didn't have any receipts.
I do not have any receipts. I did not have any receipts.
But you did travel with Miss Willis in 2023, correct?
I did.
And you traveled with her in 2022, correct?
And it was purchased with your credit
You traveled with her in
card.
2021, correct?
No.
So you only traveled with her in 2022 and 2023?
2022 and 2023 is what I recall.
That's what you recall?
Yes.
Okay. So you just don't remember if you traveled with her in 2021?
2022 and 2023 is what I recall.
Is what you recall. My question is, did you travel with her in 2021?
I'm not recalling any travel in 2021.
No. Did you or didn't you,
So
sir?
it's not yes or no, you just don't remember?
I'm not recalling any travel in 2021.
Yo, this is dirty.
So you did not travel with her in 2021?
Your Honor.
This has been covered. Let's keep going.
Thank you.
This is
Let's
dirty,
see. You
dirty,
filed an
dirty,
affidavit in this
dirty.
case, correct?
I did.
Okay, and I marked that already. I gave it to the state as number 1. And that's exhibit number 1. May I approach, Judge?
You may.
Thank you. In that affidavit, you swore under oath, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And in that affidavit, you swore that, well, first of all, do you recognize the affidavit?
I do.
Okay. Did you sign the affidavit under oath?
I did.
And you gave this affidavit specifically to refute the allegations that I had raised?
Yes, ma'am.
Nobody forced you to sign this?
No, ma'am.
You chose to sign it?
I did.
And you signed it on purpose to admit into court to refute allegations?
I did.
You signed it specifically to prove that you were not in a relationship with Willis prior to November 2021, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you were a lawyer when you signed it?
I was.
And you're still a lawyer today, correct?
I am.
When were you barred?
1999.
Okay. And you believe that your relationship with Miss Willis is subject to attorney-client privilege, correct?
I'm going to object to that, Your Honor. I don't think that's factually correct. I don't think that's a relevant question, and I don't think it's appropriate to question this witness about the scope of his attorney-client privilege. He's got an attorney who can speak for him for that, but questioning the witness I think is inappropriate.
All right, so a lot to unpack there. The question is simply that does he believe there's a relationship that exists in terms of attorney-client privilege between him and Ms. Willis? Is that accurate,
Yes,
Ms.
Judge.
Merchant?
It was. I asked if he believed his relationship with Miss Willis is subject to attorney-client privilege.
Okay, I don't see why yes or no would be barred.
Maybe I'm not understanding the question. If the question is, does Mr. Wade and District Attorney Willis have an attorney-client relationship?
It is not.
There's no foundation for that. If the question to the witness is, does his relationship with District Attorney Willis impact his attorney-client relationship with his divorce attorneys, that I don't think is an appropriate question for that witness. First, first I believe is a proper phrasing. The second, I think there's been a representation that Mr. Wade preserves and doesn't waive any.
I don't care about that. I want to hear him answer questions.
Miss Willis is subject to an attorney-client privilege. Not if you and Miss Willis have one, but do you believe that that relationship is subject to one?
I'm going to object to that question as it's phrased in what privilege. Is that?
I think we need to.
Is subject to an attorney-client privilege. I mean, it's been asserted. I think it's going to be asserted, and that was all I was asking.
I mean, the actions I would find it.
You swore that you and Willis developed a personal relationship.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you said that didn't develop until 2022, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And that's different from what you said in your pleading in May 2023 in the divorce case, correct?
No, ma'am.
In May 2023, when you were asked if you had if you'd had any affairs, essentially, and you said none.
That's correct.
Okay. So in May, you said you had not, in May 2023 in the divorce case, you said you had not had a personal relationship, an affair, a romantic relationship with anyone.
That's correct.
But you told this court
So
in
he
the
lied.
affidavit that you did have one that started in 2022. So that would have been ongoing at 2023.
So here I think there's a distinction, if you'd allow me to explain.
Please.
The interrogatory asked the question during the course of your marriage.
Or to date. It actually says,
I'm going to request that the witness be permitted to answer.
Mr. Wade.
So my marriage was irretrievably broken in 2015, ma'am, by agreement. My wife and I agreed that once she had the affair in 2015 that we'd get a divorce. We didn't get a divorce immediately because my children were still in school and I refused to allow them to grow up without their father at the time. So we waited. We waited until the youngest graduated and we dropped her off at college and then filed for the divorce. So if you're asking me about the interrogatory as it relates to having the 2022 relationship with District Attorney Willis, I'm going to say because my marriage was irretrievably broken, I was free to have a relationship.
so the question
No, you
was
wasn't.
if you had a relationship.
You
And
wasn't.
in 2023, you said you did not. And that is different than what you said in this affidavit, correct?
No, ma'am. I said during the course of my marriage. So in
So you believe that
2015,
to...
Let him finish, Mr. Merchant.
So in 2015, my marriage was irretrievably broken. So I did not have a relationship with anyone during the course of my marriage.
And in that interrogatory, they asked you if you had any receipts for travel with someone of the other sex up until the time you were answering it. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said that you didn't. You've already testified to that earlier.
The question
But in this
is, was you
affidavit,
still having
you
sex
said
and busting
you swore
down
that
a
you
woman
had
that you
travel
was legally
expenses
married
and
to?
shared expenses on travel with Ms. Willis.
Again, during the course of my marriage, I had no relationship or receipts.
I'm not asking about during the course of your marriage.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask the witness to be allowed to answer the question.
Continue. I have no problem with him answering.
As it relates to receipts today, I don't have any receipts, ma'am.
So you don't have any travel receipts available to you for any travel that you did with Ms. Willis?
I don't have any receipts, no, ma'am.
See, he being...
No receipts that... So you're...
I get it. And I know why he answering the way that he answer. And I can't say that I would answer any differently because the man is on the stand. All right. He's on the stand and he's answering it accordingly in order to make sure that he don't put himself in a position where he got to recuse himself or this investigation go any further. So I get it. We all seen the Capital One credit card of the receipts where he purchased the tickets in order for them to be able to travel together. We know this. So he's being intentionally technical about a receipt specifically, but he's not being honest about whether or not he purchased tickets in order to be able to travel. But here's the thing, because somebody said in the comments, and they said, well, Anton, what do you think about that? What do you think about the fact that she cheated or whatever, and they decided to stay together? Well, we can put whatever term we want to it. We can say, okay, well, he's saying that his marriage was irretrievably broken, but he stayed for the children. But you stayed. That's the key word. And you never officially got a divorce. Because what we missing here, and the thing that we really need to be having a conversation about is not whether or not he buzzed down another chick. We don't care. I don't care if he was cheating from the time that they got married all the way up into the time where his marriage was irretrievably broken. I don't care if his wife was slept with anybody else. I don't care if he slept with anybody else. That has nothing to do with why I'm interested in this conversation. The thing that I'm interested in is if you benefited from two things. If you benefited from choosing to sleep with, of all the women that you could possibly sleep with on the face of the earth, if you decided that you wanted to sleep with the one person that had influence on whether or not you was going to get taxpayer dollars, this is not a private company, this is not a publicly traded company, this is not any of that, right? This is whether or not you decided to sleep with travel with, bust down, benefit from the person that could determine that you made an exorbitant amount of money with regard to taxpayer dollars and whether or not that was impacted. And then on top of whether or not you got raises, promotions, benefited from, and then was assigned to cases that ethically you should not have been assigned to because of the person that you were in a relationship with. So this has nothing to do with personal relationships. We're not talking about Anton Daniels channel conversation as far as relationships themselves, whether men cheat, whether women cheat. We're not talking about after hours conversations or whether or not he should have been able to bust down chicks or whether or not she should have cheated or whether or not he should have stayed, or none of that. We're not talking about that. We're talking about taxpayer funds being sent over to and being benefited from while you're also frolicking and taking trips to the Caribbean and California and hotel rooms and all of this stuff, and whether you got paid an exorbitant amount of money as a result of the relationship that you had from the one person who was your boss that you should not have been busting down, especially considering that what was at stake with regard to the different trials that you were trying. So I don't care who was cheating on who and whose marriage. It has no relevance. When you start to introduce the public funds into the conversation, that's where we have to figure out where it comes back down to the money. This is why it's important. This is why it's important, because with great power comes great responsibility. And then how does that influence what you're doing every single day in office, which is one of the reasons why I tell you guys, don't sleep with women that's on your job. Stay away from the help, because then it starts to mess up what we got going on, and you cannot tell me that it doesn't influence what you got going on your job. You understand what I'm saying now? That's why it's relevant. That's why we're having this conversation. This is why it's important. This is why we're reviewing this right now. Let's continue. So I don't care how obtuse or how technical we want to be about whether or not you have literal receipts or whether or not it's something that's on your credit card statement because you messed up. See, here's the key. If we caught it because you messed up and you slipped up, and it only take one mistake in order for you to mess up. If you catch it on the credit card statement, the question that we then have to ask is, what didn't we catch? What did you pay with card? Did y'all go and get a rush card? You went over there and went and got you a rush card? You got a prepaid? What didn't we catch? Because if we only caught that, what didn't we catch? I don't care who you busting down in your spare time. I can care less about what you do in your personal time. That's between you and your chick. If she don't care, or if y'all got an agreement, or you decide that y'all want to rock out with, then cool. Do what you do. I could care less. But when it starts to come into who it is that we elect in the president of the United States of America and how many tax dollars has been used in order to do something that you wasn't supposed to do, that's when we start to get involved, because that's your money.
You used your business credit card for these trips, correct?
I use my business credit card for everything.
Okay. Yes. You used it for your kids' tuition.
Yes, ma'am.
You used it for personal travel with Miss Willis.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have receipts from those.
Now we got the IRS. IRS just entered the chat. You use your business cards for everything, for the kids' tuition, for going to Tropical Smoothie, and all of this stuff. The IRS just entered the chat, y'all.
You have to file.
And he said it confidently, like he was right. He said it confidently, like he was right. I use my business card for everything. Listen to what he just hopped. Look at the smile. Look at the smile on his face right now. These are the people that's determining what's happening in your court systems. And he ran for judge. Check this out, Lord. Look what he said.
For these trips, correct?
I use my business credit card for everything.
Okay.
You telling me that these people should not be recused from trying these cases? Come on, man.
Yes. You used it for your kids' tuition.
Yes, ma'am.
You used it for personal travel with Miss Willis.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have receipts from those business credit cards that you have to file with your taxes, correct?
No, ma'am.
No.
I filed a statement. I turn over the statement, and whatever's there on the statement, the accountant looks at it, and the accountant says, okay, this is personal, goes over here, this is business, goes over here, here are your taxes.
So you have those statements. We'll call them statements instead of receipts. You have those statements, correct?
I have the statement, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So why you ain't
So when you answer the interruption.
That's what we call a white lie, ladies and gentlemen. It's disqualified based off of a technicality, and so they're answering it a certain way because they don't want to be 100% truthful. It's called a white lie, all right? He knew what he was talking about, and I'm actually, frankly, disappointed with the lawyer for not making sure that she got to that a little bit sooner, because we all knew, Ray Charles can see that.
Under oath, you said you did not have anything to show the records of travel with Ms. Willis.
I answered the question. I had no receipts, ma'am.
You had no receipts, but you had statements.
I ordered the statement, yes, ma'am.
You did order the statement.
I did.
Okay. And so we're just talking to semantics between invoice and statements, or receipt, I'm sorry.
I'm going to object, Your Honor, to the argumentative tone of the question. I believe it's been asked and answered several times.
All right, sustain.
Let's see. You also in this affidavit said that no funds paid to you for compensation as your role as special counsel was shared with Willis, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And that you never cohabitated with Willis, correct?
That's correct.
By cohabitation, does that mean that you never spent the night with Willis?
I spent the night with her during travel. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so I just want to qualify your use of the term cohabitation.
Of course he spent the night with her.
That means you didn't live together.
That's correct.
But you did spend the night together.
Yes.
When was the first time you spent the night together?
Your Honor.
That's the subject of his affidavit, Judge.
Right, but it might not be the subject of this hearing. So the question is the nature and extent of the relationship. And so if they just spent the night on a single occasion,
it wasn't a single occasion, Judge.
Document in detail every single time that happened.
And I don't intend to do that, Judge, but I think what is relevant is when the relationship started. And that's what you had indicated on
Well, why don't we start with that question and go from there?
And that's what I asked, when the first time he spent the night with her was. That's what I asked.
That's a different question, isn't it?
Okay, so let's not talk about when you spent the night. When did your romantic relationship with Miss Willis begin?
2022.
When in 2022?
Early 2022.
No, I need to know.
So you were appointed in November of 2021.
Yes, ma'am.
And your relationship started early. What's early? January? February?
Around March.
Around March. But you two met at an October 2019 judicial conference, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And describe your relationship at that point then.
Which point?
2019.
So I was at a judicial conference to teach a course, if you will.
Ladies, hey, let me tell y'all something. Nathan Wade out here messing up the game for everybody. Nathan Wade is messing up the game for every man walking on the face of this earth. Well, what do you mean, Anton? Now, we can't go out of town no more and go to no more conferences, or we can't go out here and shoot no content or be out here by ourselves because he over here frolicking with the help. Not every woman that's in here watching this live stream is saying, oh, so she just your friend, huh? When did you meet her? Not every woman in here is looking at their man with the side eye because he met her in 2019, but he just so happened to start busting her down in 2022. Come on, come on. Not every woman is looking crooked over here. Uh-huh. That's just your friend, huh? You just met her? How long y'all known each other? Since 2019? Since before the pandemic? Y'all was at a conference, huh? Messing up the game. Got us out here looking crazy. This is how stereotypes start. Next thing you know, we're going to be having whole conversations about it.
To newer judges.
I can't go to Vegas no more.
In 2019, as I was exiting the conference, another judge was standing outside who was a friend of mine. I stopped and exchanged pleasantries with her.
Stopped and exchanged pleasantries.
Standing talking to her at the time was then Judge Willis. She introduced us at that time. We shook hands, exchanged business cards.
Nah, y'all wasn't at the
I got
meetup,
into my
Tia.
vehicle and left the conference. So that meeting was probably 3 minutes.
Okay. When was the next time you talked to her?
Didn't talk to her again, probably
Don't look in the sky.
maybe a month or a month and a half had gone by.
Okay. So you talked to her November, maybe?
Maybe.
On the phone?
On the phone.
Okay. How regularly did you
phone?
speak with her in
How'd y'all
2021?
get in touch on the
phone?
In 2021.
I'm sorry, 2019. I'm so sorry. 2019. How frequently did you speak with her on the phone?
2019, after the meeting, I probably talked to her 2 or 3 times. She would have questions. I was the district rep for the particular district that I sat in. And the judges would, when they would have questions, they sometimes would go to the rep. So she was outside of my district, but she would call me. She felt comfortable calling me to ask me the questions. I don't know if you know the racial makeup of
Oh, nah, it's a race thing. Now it's a racial makeup thing. So she wasn't in your district, but she just so happened to call you because it was a racial makeup thing. She felt more comfortable with you. You put her at ease. You put her at ease. You know, she felt more comfortable with me because I don't know if you know about the racial makeup of what's going on. Hey, how many of y'all knew that at some point this was going to be a race thing? It's a race thing. Okay. All right, I got it. She felt comfortable coming to you. She didn't need to come to you, but she felt more comfortable coming to you because you was outside of the district, but you was black. You were a black man because it was the race thing. Okay, I got it. See, well, listen, we don't need no lawyers to break this thing down. We could break this thing down right here on the Millionaire Morning Show because when it come back down to A, giving that D up, and B, the money, you know Anton going to be all in to try to figure out what's going on.
benches, but it wasn't very diverse. So she felt comfortable.
Diversity,
calling
equity,
me
and inclusion.
for advice.
Got it.
And she did that. And we had also in common that she was starting a private law practice at the time, and I'd already had mine up and going, and we talked about balancing the demands of the bench with that private practice. So we didn't talk that often, but when she had questions, mostly legal issues that would come up, she would call me.
I just want to make sure, because my question was just how many times, and you said 2 to 3 times, right? Okay. And in 2022, how frequently did you speak in 2022? This is before you were appointed.
I'm sorry, perhaps Ms. Marches, your timeline, 2022?
I'm sorry, 2020. 2020. How frequently did you speak in 2020?
2020, it was more frequent than 19, obviously, but
More frequent. Can you tell me approximately a month how often you think you spoke with her on the phone?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the.
And y'all got to remember that this is during the pandemic, all right? Let's remember this. 2020 was during the pandemic. Everybody was in the house. Nobody was supposed to be out here frolicking. 6 feet, no check. 6 feet, no check, y'all.
I think I misspoke on the phone.
per month.
I mean, if it was 2 or 3 times that entire year, you can tell me that. If it was more than that, then you can quantify it by month.
No. We spoke on the telephone often. I mean, I don't know how many. I couldn't give you a amount of
But
time.
y'all just started the relationship in 2022,
COVID
right?
happened and the world was shut down, but so we spoke on the phone more than 2019, Jeffrey.
Okay, let's qualify it. Before her election in 2020, how frequently did you speak?
You mean as she was campaigning?
Before the election. Yes, as she was campaigning, before she was elected.
D-Fam says, bro, they consenting adults. I don't get all the shock, all of the people on the jobs banging. No, not all of us. That's A. B, it doesn't matter if you're a consenting adult because, again, this has everything to do with the cases that they're trying and the money that's being dispersed, public taxpayer dollars. I don't know why y'all don't understand that. I don't know why y'all. It's very important for us to qualify why we're having this conversation. We don't care if they was out here busting it down. They could have busted down all day, every day. We understand the terms by which they found themselves in this situation. That is the difference. The difference is how, who, what, when, where, why, how, and that's why the timelines. Because if you lied and say that, well, no, we didn't necessarily have a relationship, but then you was frolicking with the help, and then they started to catch you, and then the documents that you actually signed off on, in order for you to be able to participate in certain aspects of your job, says that you shouldn't be doing this, but you did it, and then it affects how it is that you're doing your job effectively, then it matters. Don't have nothing. This is not a DMP conversation. This is much deeper than that. Stop busting down the help.
It's two different animals.
As she was campaigning before she was elected.
Okay, so during the course of her campaign, we didn't talk as much, obviously, because she was busy. Fulton County is a large jurisdiction to cover. But we didn't talk a whole lot, but she did know that I'd gone through the election process, so when things would come up, that she had questions about, she would call me and ask me.
I agree, Robert Hurt.
And just to be fair, I'm only
Ms. Merchant.
Judge, actually, he's not asked and answered. And I mean, I don't mind him explaining, but I just wanted to know how many times. I mean, if we talk about every conversation they talked about, you
gotta let him finish his sentence, and then if you need to redirect him or have me direct him, I can. Mr. Wade, you can continue.
Yes, sir. So sometimes it would be like a 3-second call. She would go, during your election, have you ever seen this? And I would say, no, but here's what I would do. And we'd hang up. She had a lot of professionals working for her, but she trusted my judgment, so she called me. And it'd be a brief conversation, but she called.
So my question was, how frequently did you speak with her prior to her election? Frequently? Infrequently?
More than 2019, but it wasn't a everyday thing, no.
What?
In 2021,
answer the
before
question,
you were appointed
homie.
in November. So
how often do y'all
January
talk?
To November.
5 times a month, 5 times a week.
How frequently did you speak with Ms. Willis on the phone?
In 2021, then it became frequent.
Frequent?
Yes.
But you did not work at the DA's office at that point, correct?
I did not.
So it ramped up.
So the affidavit that you submitted, you showed on it, you submitted one record that showed that Ms. Willis had paid a couple $100s for one flight, correct?
Say again?
The affidavit that you submitted to this court showed that Ms. Willis had paid for one flight several $100s. Is that correct?
No, ma'am. I think that, are you drawing a distinction for her paying for a flight or for her actually booking a flight? Because those are two separate things.
I will re-ask it. The affidavit you filed in this court, you alleged that Ms. Willis paid for one flight. Paid for one flight, correct?
No, ma'am.
You did not allege she paid for one flight.
No, ma'am. What I allege is that our travel was split roughly evenly. So where you see I have booked a flight or I've paid for a flight with my credit card, what you don't see is that she covered her own flight reimbursement to me. The flights that you see here are the flights that she would have booked with her own resources, with her own car.
And there's one flight, correct?
One flight reflecting that she actually.
Why he's so?
Wait.
These are the smartest people that you know. The smartest people that we know. These are people that are prosecuting attorneys. They got their own law firm. They done work their way up the corporate ladder. They network effectively. They teach classes, but they so confused. What? What? You talking about, wait, one flight or two flights? One fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish, knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. Wait, 2021, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which one? You talk? How many flights? 2019? We was on lockdown. We was going into the pandemic. Everybody is confused all of a sudden. Everybody is dumb.
Let him finish and then you can redirect him.
One flight that she actually booked, yes. The other flights I booked, she paid for.
So the affidavit, you submitted one flight that she booked and paid for.
Yes, ma'am.
You submitted the affidavit.
Of that question, the line in the affidavit is not as Ms. Merchant is representing it. It said examples of the District Attorney Willis purchasing plane tickets for she and I with her personal funds were attached as an exhibit. It certainly did not represent that it was the only example of the District Attorney purchasing.
So you bought more flights.
Mr. Wade, or for compensating other travel.
All right. It's now on the record, but also something you can take on cross.
Thank you. And just so everybody is clear, all I asked you is your affidavit. You submitted proof of one flight that she paid for and booked. That's all I'm asking. Correct?
With the explanation, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's all we wanted. That's all we wanted.
You said in the affidavit that you
we didn't
shared
want
travel,
nothing else
correct?
but that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this roughly sharing travel, you're saying she reimbursed you.
She did.
And where did you deposit the money she reimbursed you?
That was cash. She didn't give me any checks.
So she paid you cash for her share of all these vacations.
Mr. Schaefer, you'll step out if you do that again.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so all of the vacations that she took, she paid you cash for.
Yes, ma'am.
Lies. 100% lies. Listen, I don't believe these people. I don't believe them as far as I could throw them. That is a lie. Look, if that ain't a lie, I don't know what is. You ain't got to be a lawyer. You ain't got to be a pimp. You ain't got to be a street dude. You ain't got to be none of that. That is a lie. He's sitting here telling us that in an electronic world, that he went and he bought everything himself, and then she would come back, go to the bank, get some money out of the ATM, or go to the bank teller, get some cash, and say, hey, here's my reimbursement for you, and it's all 100% cash. I wasn't born yesterday. I was not born yesterday. Ain't no way in the world you gonna sit here and tell me that every single time that you booked a vacation that she reimbursed you cash. That's crazy. Stop it, family. Nope. No way, no how. You not ever gonna finesse me like that. Ever. Now, see, the smart thing to do was, this is cap. This is the biggest cap that I've ever experienced in my entire life, man.
And you purchased all of these vacations on your business credit card, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you included those in deductions on your taxes, correct?
Woo!
No, you did not.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
This dude is digging a hole so big. Because listen, let me tell you what the finesse is. This is what the finesse is. Look, if he says, okay, well, I booked this from a business perspective in order to go over here, then okay, cool. But if you say that she reimbursed you cash, then that means that you should have only deducted from a business perspective your half of what you paid for the trip. And so if he then says, no, I didn't report it on my taxes, or yeah, I reported on my taxes, then it's fraud. It's fraud. It's fraud. Because you finessed the IRS as a lawyer, and now we got to get your accountant involved. It's tax evasion. Bingo. Yeah, Peter. So when I tell y'all that it comes back, look, some of the greatest gangsters in the world, they didn't get them for killing somebody or racketeering or a RICO charge. They got them. They would get them for what? Taxes. Taxes. Now, some people saying I'm jumping the gun. Apparently, he's going to answer something else differently. Let's see what he got to say.
We'll get to that in just a minute then. Let's see. So the only thing that you have actual documentary proof, not cash, is this one receipt that you attached to the affidavit. Is that correct?
Your Honor, I object to that question. That is a mischaracterization of the assertion that is in the affidavit.
I'm asking.
So then he can deny it. I think he can fend for himself. Ms. Merchant.
Is this the only written proof that you have of a trip she paid for?
That I have?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you submitted the one piece of written evidence that you have that she paid for something. Everything else is in cash. Is that accurate?
No.
That's not accurate. Okay. Please tell me, what other receipts do you have then that show that she paid for things?
I don't have them.
Okay. Okay. So this is the only receipt that you have to show that she paid for travel?
That I have, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Okay. In your divorce case, you filed a domestic relations financial affidavit, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The first one you filed was in January 2022, right?
Thereabout, yes, ma'am.
And those are under oath?
Yes.
Okay. And you also filed corporate taxes in 2022, correct?
Did.
Okay. And
I knew she was going to go down this path.
Tell me about your business. Do you have a partnership, or are you a solo practitioner?
As it stands today?
Yes.
So today, I have a separate PC. My law partner has his own separate PC.
Okay.
So, but we're under the same umbrella, under the same roof. So we share expenses, we share income, and we split it.
So are you a partnership?
You split what?
We are a partnership in the sense of we share expenses.
What?
We share income.
Are you registered with the state of Georgia as a partnership?
So, the WBC firm that included myself, Terrence Bradley, and Christopher Campbell, we were registered with the Secretary of State as a partnership for a short period of time. When
that was dissolved, though, right, in 2023?
I'm going to object to the witness to answer his question.
Mr. Wade, did you have something else to add there?
I did. When things happened and we excused Mr. Bradley from that partnership, it left Christopher Campbell and myself. So now you have two separate PCs under the same umbrella, sharing expenses and income.
Okay. So
This
let me
is bad.
just narrow down my questions then.
This is bad.
Are you registered? And have you been registered at any time in the state of Georgia
As a
as
partnership.
Wade and Campbell?
Wade, no ma'am.
You've never been registered as a partnership?
As Wade and Campbell, no ma'am.
Wade and Campbell, yes, thank you.
But as Wade Bradley Campbell, yes ma'am.
Wade Bradley Campbell was registered on April 1st, 2021 and administratively dissolved on September 8th, 2023, correct?
Yes ma'am.
Okay. Other than that partnership, you have always been registered as law office of Nathan Wade?
Yes ma'am.
Not with Chris Campbell?
Correct.
Then they're gonna try to finesse you and say, yeah, but we was
So
sharing office spaces and expenses. So technically we was partners,
But technically, we wasn't at the same time.
The affidavit that you filed in your divorce case, the first one in 2022. I think I'm up to number 7. I'm going to just give you a group of exhibits so we don't have to go back and forth. I'm marking the 2022.
We got to get off of this
7.
eventually because I got a whole show planned. I ain't know I was going to be on this long.
I'm marking the credit card statements as 9 and your taxes as 10.
I object to taxes because of the relevance of them at this point. The relevance of this entire business structure doesn't seem clear to me as either impeaching or relevant to the issues that the court's under the court's consideration. But insofar as we're talking about tax returns and other things like that, certainly that's should be redacted, and I would object to the relevance of it.
I agree they should be redacted. I don't agree to the relevance, but I haven't tried to tender them yet, Judge. I'm just marking them right now so that everyone can follow.
All right. And what is the eventual relevance that you were getting at here?
Well, I'm going to ask him because one of the things that we have to show
Y'all
is
saying skip the show today?
Interest.
Okay.
So, and he's talked about how he was reimbursed.
So if we skip the show today, then that means we got to do a makeup show on Saturday. If we skipping the show today, I just want to let y'all know that we got to do a makeup show on Saturday, okay? So I'm guessing that y'all down for a Saturday morning show. All right, we gonna focus 100% on this.
First for these things, and so I have a right to go into the veracity of those statements. So let's see, 7-8. Sorry.
Y'all said it's a male attorney question and now live. All right, so let me go live. Let me spin it. Hold on 1 second.
Bestowed on her.
And Mr. Gillen, if I answered that, I'm putting myself
So this is live.
in jeopardy.
We live right now, y'all.
If I tell the world that I have cash someplace in my home, don't you think that could be problematic?
No, I don't. I want an answer as to whether or not you have a little cash hoard in your house where you have allegedly taken the money that you got from Mrs. Willis and went and put it somewhere. Where'd you put it?
No, sir.
Now, just put it on the hip and kind of walk around money?
Did I put it on my hip?
Yeah, just walking around money where you would spend cash yourself?
Let me finish. Did I put it on my hip in Belize and walk around with it?
When you got paid back, would you take the money, the cash that she gave you, and would you just carry it around with you for spending money around town?
So we have to break down each trip because, for example, for the cruise, she paid me the money before we took the cruise. So I was here and I could put the money in my pocket or put it away wherever I wanted to do with it.
Boy, crap.
Other trips, she would give me the money there. So at that point, I could either spend it or put it in my pocket or put it in the hotel safe.
There's no special place that you would have all this cash that you would be getting from her that you've told us about to pay back for the benefits that you have bestowed on her?
The only special place that cash would have gone would have been to one of my children.
Okay. Now, are you aware, have you discussed these pleadings with Miss Willis?
No, sir.
So there's been no discussion between you and Ms. Willis about the allegation concerning the benefits that you have bestowed on her. Is that correct?
The phrasing, the benefits bestowed upon her, I don't believe that's an accurate reflection of the testimony, and I don't think that's appropriate.
I think overruled. You can answer the question.
Okay. When you say proceedings, are you talking about the divorce proceedings? Because we were talking about the interrogatories. To that question, the answer is no. If you're go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead with your answer. I'll hear the complete answer, then I'll follow up.
Okay. If you're asking me about this hearing, the proceedings of this hearing, have we discussed the financial piece based upon Mr. Roman's motion? Yes.
So you have discussed the financial piece. Where did that discussion take place?
We need a man on this, boy.
Conference room.
Were you other people there, or were you and Ms. Willis discussing this about what your position was going to be?
The relevance of this.
Well,
Mr. Gillen?
And the relevance has to do with suddenly we have a declaration from Mr. Wade in this case where he says roughly equal and then shows one alleged payment by Ms. Willis. No mention of cash, none. So I need to find out a little bit more about how suddenly we have this revelation about cash from the witness stand today.
All right. Overruled.
So we part company there when you say no mention of cash. If I provided one receipt that didn't amount to what you would think was roughly equal, the rest of it is cash.
Well, did you in your declaration, sir?
Well, you might be a lawyer, but it don't mean
filed
that you're smart.
In this case,
Not with regard to the IRS, baby.
did you tell the court in that declaration that the expenditure that you had provided on behalf of Ms. Willis was paid for back by her in cash, yes or no?
I believe that I did when I said that the expenses were split roughly evenly.
Is that
If you
Fani
could
back
point
there?
to me any place in your affidavit
They showing
where
Fani back
you
there?
use the word cash, I would appreciate it. Take your time.
Who is
I didn't
that?
use the word cash. No,
Who's
sir.
that woman right
No,
there?
you
Is that
didn't
Fani?
use the word cash, did you?
But I didn't say that she didn't give it to me in cash.
I'm going to read Superchats
No,
afterwards,
you
y'all.
just didn't tell anybody that you allegedly got paid back in cash, right?
No, I told everyone who asked.
Today.
Yes, sir.
Now, who else was with you, if anyone else, when you and Ms. Willis were discussing how you would be handling the financial component of the motion here today, that is the personal benefits?
I'm going to object to the relevance of that, Your Honor.
Mr. Gillen.
Well, the relevance is if they know that they're going to be called as witnesses, they've been subpoenaed, and they are discussing what they're going to say, we need to know that. The court needs to know that. It goes to the veracity of Mr. Willis and, Ms. Willis and Mr. Wade.
Overruled.
We didn't discuss how we were going to handle testimony.
My question was, when you were discussing with Ms. Willis in the conference room, when you were discussing what you perceived to be the situation concerning the benefits for the payments,
yes, sir.
Was there anyone else present?
No, sir.
How long did the meeting take?
Probably 5 or 10 minutes.
Did Ms. Willis tell you what she was going to say?
No, sir.
Did you ask her whether she had any bank withdrawals that would corroborate the assertion that she would pay you back in large sums of cash for these trips to the Caribbean, Belize, California, on and on and on?
Your Honor, again, I object. The proffer when the last
I didn't even know they went to
was made
Belize.
was that Mr. Gillen needed to know who else was there. These could be potential witnesses that he could cross-examine. That question has been answered, so I can object.
Okay. I think it's still exploring possible bias or motive to shape his testimony, so overrule on that ground.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Willis, Mr. Wade, when you were having this discussion, did you ask Ms. Willis, do you have anything to support these cash withdrawals?
No, sir.
Did you ask her where she got the cash?
Here, this is the conversation. I produced my credit card statement that showed what Ms. Merchant in her filing was representing. That was the conversation.
Okay. So when she would pay you back in cash, were you aware of what her financial situation was? Do you know what?
No, sir.
Your Honor, I object to the relevance.
Well, Your Honor, it's relevant because we've been bombarded with a book, Find Me the Votes, in which...
What's at issue is the financial benefit, and if that plays a material interest in an actual conflict of interest, so I think that's relevant.
Thank you. Now, have you read the book, Find Me the Votes?
I have.
You have?
I have.
Okay. Now, in that book, Ms. Willis is telling the authors about how financially destitute she was, or kind of hitting down on the bottom as she was running for DA. Do you remember that part of the book?
So let me qualify the response. I've read the book.
Don't trip up.
In parts.
Hold it down, big dog.
I hadn't had the time to sit and read the book in its entirety.
Did you read that part about how she's telling the
that
authors about how little money she had and how financially she was in bad shape prior to when she was running? Did you read that part?
No, sir.
Did you ever have discussions with Ms. Willis about her financial situation, which was in apparently
All of
rough
this because
shape
you couldn't keep
prior
your
to
D in your
her being
pants.
elected DA.
No, sir. Ms. Willis made it clear that her financial business was just that. It was her business. I know nothing about her financial status. I know nothing about how she was faring before or after the election, or even now. I know nothing about her finances.
Telling us that she didn't share that with you, but chose to share it with the authors of a book that's been published and printed and sold nationally.
I think that's a fair question for Cross.
I don't know that she shared it with the author. I don't know that the author was telling the truth. I don't know the author, so I don't know, sir.
Okay. Now, did you give an interview to the authors of that
She's been
book?
making all of this money all this time, and she broke.
So you haven't talked to them at all, correct?
I haven't talked to any media.
All right.
None.
Now, as it relates to
Making all that money and they broke. Shout out to my black folks.
I like to, though.
As it relates to,
He tough.
again, from your bank records,
Making all that money and they broke.
There'll be no cash deposits, right?
I didn't say that.
Are there cash deposits which line up with the money that you have allegedly received from Ms. Willis to, quote, pay you back for her part of the trips?
So here's the thing. In my bank records, you will see cash deposits. You will see check deposits. I can't say that you
so that's enough.
Look through the bank records and you won't see cash deposits, because I have two sources of income, sir. Income comes from my private practice, my firm, and income comes from the contract here with Fulton County. During the course of private practice, occasionally I will have occasion to deposit cash into my accounts.
And in preparation for this hearing and your testimony, did you go through your bank records to find out if you could locate any cash deposits that would corroborate your testimony?
No, sir. I didn't go through my bank records at all.
Now, so what you would do, the money that
I told
you
y'all this was
received,
gonna blow up in their face when this first started coming
the money
out.
that you received from your work for Fulton County, that's public funds, correct?
They went from prosecuting everybody else to getting on to being on trial.
Public funds pay you to do work for Fulton County, correct?
Tell me what the definition of a public fund is.
A public fund would be funds, as in not fund, but funds, money. Public money, as in money from taxpayers,
correct,
either in Fulton County or the state of Georgia, pay you to do the work that you're doing here in this case, yes or no?
So you getting paid
one
by
or
the
the other,
taxpayers.
I'm certain.
You know which one?
The case. I don't know which one, no, sir.
Now, you would take those public funds, and those public funds would then deposited in your account.
Thank y'all for
and they
showing
were
love.
then
Make sure
used
y'all
to
hit a
pay,
like for the algorithm.
on the credit cards for the trips that you would take with Ms. Willis, correct?
I object to the question insofar as the characterization of public funds. The witness didn't testify to that, and I don't believe there's been any evidence to that. Once it's paid to Mr. Wade, it's private funds.
Well, the point of it is that you got money.
All right, Mr. Gillen's rephrasing.
Yeah, I'll rephrase. Let's break it down. You got money from Fulton County for the work that you do here, right?
Yes, sir.
You would send in invoices, and they would pay you money, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you was billing them for billable hours.
Private money, that money was money from either the citizens of Fulton County or from the state of Georgia, correct? That's what I mean by public funds. Agreed?
Well, I guess I'm having trouble with the.
This is not that hard to figure out. And all they doing is really trying to joust, right? Because what they're basically saying, listen, did you get paid from the public, right? The public funds is the monies that you get as a result of prosecuting or whatever. And so you hold a public position, right? The money that's being dispersed to you is based off of money from taxpayers. Or did you get it privately from your own private practice? Your private practice is clients that you bill billable hours for whatever it is that you do legal work for. This is not that hard to figure out. That's where your two sources of income is. That's all he's establishing. This is not really hard to figure out.
On your expenses for the trips that you took Ms. Willis on, correct?
No, sir. As I testified to moments ago, I have income coming in from my law firm. also have income coming in from the funds that we're here discussing now, from either the state of Georgia or Fulton County, and or both. I'm not certain what it is. So
What
to say
Sorry,
that
I didn't mean to
that
cut
I'm-
you off. Go ahead.
So to say that I'm paying a credit card statement with funds coming from Fulton County or the state of Georgia would not be an accurate statement, because the funds could have very well come from my private practice.
Did it?
What percentage of your income in 2022
Don't answer that.
came from money where you're working on this case, or from your partners working
got
for
no
the
choice
Fulton
but
County
to
office?
In 2022, I would say 50-50.
You think 50-50 in 2022?
Yes, sir.
What about 2023?
Bag chasing.
Probably 60-40.
60-40.
Yes, sir.
So the money that would be in those accounts, at least 60% of those, in your view, would be public funds, that those monies were then used to pay for the expenses that you had incurred for the trips that you took Miss Willis on, the cruises,
Bag chasing.
the Napa
That man,
Valley,
he probably made over $1 million
the
a year.
Bahamas, correct? Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Trying to be like Anton Daniels.
And now, what you did is that when you signed on in November 1st of 2021, that's when you signed on to be counsel for the anti-corruption matters, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, as you know, in your engagement letter, it doesn't say that you're signing on and your scope of work is to work on the Trump special grand jury investigation, does it?
No, sir.
It says that you're signing on to work on anti-corruption.
I wouldn't even want to be on the stand.
The anti-corruption unit matters, correct?
Yes, sir.
Matters with a plural, correct?
Yes, sir.
So in your contract, there is no specific reference to any specific case. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Get me off the
Now,
stand, man.
But you didn't sign on for the duration. There was a period, you have a contract, and then it would then expire, and then you would have a new contract, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, of course, the extension that you received, the first one was in November of 2021, and then you filed, or excuse me, there was a renewal in November the 15th of 2022. Is that right?
Sounds right.
Oh, okay. Now, that was right after you got re-upped by Miss Willis.
Re-up.
Right after you took Miss Willis to Aruba. Isn't that right? On that November the 1st,
Taking her to
2022
Aruba.
trip.
Took her to Aruba?
To Aruba. And through November the 4th, 2022. Correct?
What does re-up mean?
Well, re-up means
Got
that
another
you came
contract.
back, your contract was up, and then on November the 15th,
Got a new one.
you and Miss Willis signed a new contract for you, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You buzzing down to help and you
When you
signed
were
a new
in
contract.
taking her to
You know what it is.
the Aruba and on the cruises and the resort there, did you discuss your re-upping of signing an extension on your contract?
No, sir. But you make an
This
excellent
is so
point.
dirty. This is so dirty.
I'm glad you pointed that out. So the trip to Aruba,
dirty.
The contract was not in existence then.
So you're saying that you were not
under contract.
In your contract. Did you send any invoices in for work that you did after your first contract expired?
No, sir.
You didn't.
No, sir.
So when that expired, that was it. So and then you're saying that after the Aruba trip, you get re-upped with a new contract, correct?
I signed a new contract. Yes,
Now,
sir.
was there any
you
modifications
did.
on that contract?
After
Did you
the
get
Aruba.
an extension on the cap that you were limited on the first one? Were there any modifications at all, Mr. Willis?
After
Excuse me.
Aruba, you busted
I've
down
done that
for Aruba.
again. I apologize.
I've been called worse.
Wait, I'm sorry.
I've been called worse.
Now, were there any modifications on that?
Do you have the contracts in front of you where you can?
I don't have it in front of me, but I think.
Shout out to Antonio Watkins. I'm gonna read the super chats after the show.
Because I believe as the work gradually.
I went to Aruba to discuss the new contract.
As the time of the work gradually increased, the hourly cap would increase. In other words, starting out the investigation, it was impossible to anticipate the level of cooperation during the course of the investigation from some of the witnesses. So if you assume that there would be great cooperation with the witnesses in terms of interviewing and speaking and being voluntarily speaking with you, it doesn't take as much time. So after getting into it, realizing that most of the witnesses were not willing to speak or willing to turn over evidence or information, quickly you figure out that this is going to take a little more time than originally anticipated. And because of that, you have to compensate for those hours.
And that's why there was a compensation on your extension?
Yes, sir. The caps.
A cap. Now, did Miss Willis review your invoices?
I ain't even gonna cap. I don't blame him at all.
When you would submit them?
Never.
Did anyone ever question whether or not you worked 24 hours in one day and billed 24 hours in one day?
I've never worked 24 hours in one day and billed 24 hours in one day.
Okay.
And I'm glad you asked me that question because I'd like the opportunity to talk about that.
I think you should go ahead.
So, if you look at that invoice where it says 24 hours in one day, it actually doesn't say one day. If you look at the top of the invoice, it says date completed. The date that's reflected on that invoice reflects the date that the work was completed. It doesn't say when it started. It just says this is the date that is completed. So if you go through the invoices, probably around the first 5 or 6, you'll see that that's the billing format. I would bill only after that particular task has been completed. That's why you see a 24-hour period with the one day there. I kind of wish some of the experts who had opined on that had called me and asked me the question. But there was never a billing of 24 hours in one day. Now, probably around the 6th or 7th invoice, you see the format changed. I started using a range so that it got less confusing, right?
I'm confused, so maybe you can correct it.
Okay.
In Exhibit 14, you've got down a specific day.
Mm-hmm.
Prepared cases for pretrial, November the 5th, 2021, 24 hours at $250 an hour, 6,000. Now, this wasn't about a range. It was about the work that you did on November the 5th, 2021.
No, Mr. Gillen, look at the top of the invoice where it says date completed.
What I want you to do, Mr. Wade, is focus on the date that you have down there and tell the court what you billed for on November.
Go grab some water. I'll be right back.
2021. I thought it was already in. I thought 14 is in.
Again, Mr. Gillen, it says completed date completed. The dates that you see here are the dates that work was completed. So on November the 5th,
this is better than the movies.
I completed the task of preparing the cases for pretrial. That's the date I completed it.
Just read, if you would. Then my question was, read out loud the entry for November the 5th, 2021, and how many hours you billed that day. Just do that for me, if you would.
I can't do that.
Excuse me, I believe the witness is entitled to answer his question. That certainly wasn't the question that Mr. Gillen was asking.
All right, well, the question now is to read a certain entry. So.
Just read into the record, Mr. Wade, on November the 5th, 2021, how many hours did you bill the citizens of Fulton County for on that day? Just read it out, please.
I completed the task on November 5th, 2021. 24 hours was billed at $250.
Sounds disingenuous to me, honestly. Sounds disingenuous. Sounds like he billed for 24 hours, and he billed for the day, and then he switched it up later because he didn't want to wanted to look weird.
When you were,
honestly, that's what it sounds like to
you
me.
talked about your relationship with Miss Willis, and your testimony is that
But they can't prove that. I
began
don't
in
think that they should be able
2022.
to do
You
that.
remember that testimony?
No, sir. Our relationship.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Your romantic
2019.
relationship began in 2022. Is
Yes,
that what-
sir.
That's
Yes,
your
sir.
testimony?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, when you were re-upped on this contract, you had a romantic relationship already established with Miss Willis.
Taxpayers
Yes
is the
or
ones
no?
that's paying for
In
it.
2022?
Yeah, when
Yes,
you were
sir.
re-upped on November the 15th, 2022, you had a romantic relationship with Miss Willis.
I signed the second contract. Yes, sir.
Answer my question,
Conflict
please.
of interest.
I'm not going to use the words re-up.
Signed up on the we re-up or whatever you want to call it, your contract on November the 15th, 2022, you had a romantic relationship already existing with Miss Willis. Yes or no?
I signed the contract, the second contract. Yes, sir. During the course of a romantic relationship.
Yes or no? You had a romantic relationship with her at the time that you signed up the extension on November the 15th, 2022. Yes or no?
The answer to that question is yes.
Thank you. Now,
Conflict of interest right there.
This was before
all straight
the
up.
special purpose grand jury released any a report. Isn't that correct? Correct?
Are you asking me if it's before the work was completed or before the special purpose grand jury actually publicly released the report?
When they
Those are
released
two
the
different.
report. Your relationship with
The
Miss
conflict
with
of interest
Miss
all
Willis
day long.
It
You signed
already
it while you was
existed when
busting
the
her
special
down.
purpose grand jury.
That's why I keep
released
telling
its
y'all,
report,
don't mess
correct?
with the help.
At the time
Stop
the report
busting
was
down chicks
released,
that y'all
yes,
doing
sir.
business with.
But you understand that the report, the work had been completed prior to the release of the report. You understand that?
And your relationship with Miss Willis, of course, was prior to the indictment in this case, correct?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, if I may just ask my folks over here whether there's anything I need to clean up on. That's all the questions, Your Honor, I have. Thank you.
Your Honor, I do have.
There was a bulldog out there in these streets.
Well, Mr. State, I don't think we went through.
You know, I had asked you for permission that he was going to go first on this, and then I was going to follow up. That's the deferment was to allow him to go first. That's what I thought I had asked for.
All right, all right, with the understanding next time, we're going to keep going in order and not skip around the order. All right.
But that's why I brought it up, because I thought that's what
Okay.
I was intending.
All right. Mr. Sado.
I'm going to try to keep my questions very specific.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to also, of course, try not to go back into specific questions that have already been asked. Okay?
Yes, sir.
When did your relationship with Miss Willis end?
2023.
Can you give us
Oh,
an
the relationship is
approximation of-
over.
not by date, but by month?
Summer 2023. Forgive me. I'm a man. We don't do the date thing.
Oh, we do. We do.
Summer
We know.
23, I would say
We know.
June, maybe.
Okay. Using the euphemism
I didn't know the
personal
relationship.
relationship, did you have any personal relationship at all with Miss Willis after the summer of
Did
2023?
you bust it down afterwards?
I want to make sure that I'm answering your question. Are you, because
Let me rephrase, if I might. The way it has been characterized in, for
These
example,
guys
the
is
response
not
of the
messing
state,
around.
and I
They
believe
get
in your
straight to it.
affidavit, is there's a difference between a personal relationship and a professional relationship. correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm not talking about a professional relationship. I'm talking about a personal relationship. Have you had a personal relationship at all, and you know what I mean by that, after the summer of 2023?
Are you asking me if I had intercourse with the district attorney?
That's not what he
I was
asked.
trying not to, but I guess if
you're
going
it
to
is.
characterize it as that, the answer would be?
The answer would be no.
So it's been purely professional since the summer of 2023.
So that's where we're having issues.
Because you've had a personal relationship with her. You just ain't bust her down since 2020.
You'll have to
Since the
explain
summer.
because I don't know what the issue would be.
No, I will explain to you.
Thank
you. You say personal. We're very good friends. Probably closer than ever because of these attacks. But if you're asking me about specific intercourse, the answer is no.
How about if I change it from intercourse to romantic?
No.
Okay. During the direct
we good
examination,
friends now.
you made a statement, at least I believe I heard it correctly, that you, personal relationship, and now
We
I'm
good
talking
friends now.
about that characterized the sexual romantic relationship, was not a secret. Is that correct?
Wait. If you're asking me if people knew that we were having sex, no, they didn't.
I'm asking you whether the people knew that you were dating, whether you were romantically involved. You said that it was not a secret.
Oh, it wasn't a secret. It was just private. My mother knew, obviously.
Okay. Did anyone in the district attorney's office that has worked on this case know that you were dating or had a romantic relationship with District Attorney Willis?
I don't know what they knew.
Well,
he know.
Did you tell anyone?
They kept it a
No.
secret.
Do you have any knowledge of whether Miss Willis revealed it to anyone?
I have no clue.
Okay. So as far as you know, as far as you know from personal knowledge, no one in the DA's team knew, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So
It wasn't a
if
secret.
it was a
private.
legitimate relationship, is there any particular reason why it was kept secret or private?
It wasn't kept secret. It was kept private.
Okay,
And the
private.
purpose for that was?
It's what we chose to do.
I'm asking you why, though, not just because you chose.
Because he was
if you're
going
dating
through a
someone,
divorce and he was
why
married.
keep it private?
And they don't want to mess up the
A
bag.
few reasons. The first one is, and I want to say this
Because he's married.
respectfully in the right way.
He's married.
There are some people who are in the public eye who just don't like it, don't wish to be there. I have tried to have lunch or dinner with her publicly, and I can't count the number of people that would approach the table or would accost us as we're trying to walk into a restaurant and just have lunch or have a meal. It is not secret, it is private. We don't want the world asking questions or interrupting that time. So
Because
we
you
weren't trying
knew
to
that
keep
it was
anything a secret,
ethically
Mr. Seda.
inappropriate, and so
There's
you
nothing
kept it a
secret or
secret.
salacious about having a private life. Nothing.
Unless it
Suggesting that there
involves
was. I'm asking
taxpayer
questions.
dollars.
When you went on the various trips that have been outlined by both Mr. Gillen and by Ms. Merchant, did anyone in the district attorney's office know that the two of you were traveling on personal trips together?
To my knowledge, Mr. Seda, no.
And again, that was for privacy, according to your testimony.
Privacy, yes, sir.
Okay.
This is such a lie.
Did you and Miss Willis go to the Hapeville condo prior to your relationship starting the beginning of 2022?
Prior to having physical contact, prior to having intercourse, did we go
No.
to the Hapeville condo?
Relationship
And you
started.
keep going to intercourse. I'm trying not to, but fine. The answer to that, or my question would be yes. Did you and Miss Willis go to the Hapeville condo prior to what I want to say November 1st of 2021?
Yes.
Okay. And the purpose for going to the Hapeville condo with Miss Willis prior to 2021 would have been what? Or prior to November 1 of 2021?
The relationship didn't start to
Could have been any
2022,
number
right?
of things, because at that time,
That's what I'm asking. So tell me.
yeah, could have been any number of things, because at that time, She had a friend living in that condo. Miss Yurdy lived in that condo.
Okay. So, maybe it was my question was poorly worded. Let me try again.
Yeah, he went to the condo.
Yes, prior to November 1st of 2021, you would have gone to the Hapeville condo and been there with Miss Willis, correct?
Yes.
And you would have been there, as you indicated, for many reasons, right?
Yes.
Can you give me, just list a few of the reasons?
Miss Yurdy resided there, went to visit her, maybe went to talk about a document that I received.
You can't talk about that on the phone or something?
Condo to talk about a document that you received?
Absolutely.
Okay, go ahead.
Absolutely.
Any other reasons?
I got to go to your house to talk about a document.
No, sir.
And would you say that was frequent? When I say frequent, do you think prior to November 1st of 2021,
You was going to the
you were at the
condo.
condo more than 10 times?
No, sir.
So it'd be less than 10 times?
Yes, sir.
So if phone records were to reflect that you were making phone calls from the same location as the condo before November 1st of 2021, and it was on multiple occasions, the phone records would be wrong?
If phone records reflected that, yes, sir.
They'd be wrong?
They'd be wrong.
Okay. Where did you live during that time period?
The same place I live now.
How would the
in
phone
Hateville,
records
correct?
be wrong
It
if
is not
they
in
pinging
Hateville.
you
It is north
from the
of
exact
Atlanta, the city
location
of
from where
Atlanta,
you
correct?
taking phone calls
It
at?
is.
Okay. And any other reasons why you would be in the Hapeville area on multiple occasions prior to November 1st of 2021?
This is not good.
Let's see. The Porsche Experience is there.
I'm sorry?
The Porsche Experience is there.
Okay, so that would have been one. Any other reason?
Yes, sir. The airport is there.
Airport in Hapeville.
Yes, sir. Delta Airlines is
Okay.
headquartered there. Let's see.
This is bad. This is so bad.
Restaurants there.
Okay.
This is so bad. We got too much technology to prove what's going on. You just got to keep it real.
If that's your recollection, that's fine. I'm not asking you to try to remember everything, but if that's
okay.
Okay. Did you discuss your affidavit filed in connection with the response with Ms. Willis?
No, sir.
Did you know, personal knowledge, whether Ms. Willis reviewed your affidavit before it was included with the response?
I have no clue.
So, as far as you know, personal knowledge, Ms. Willis did not know what you said in the affidavit.
I didn't give it to her.
That's what I said. You have no personal knowledge.
No personal knowledge.
And as far as you know, no one else has told you that she did or didn't.
I hadn't asked anyone.
Tara said my favorite Starbucks is there.
And we've kind of worked this up a little bit, and the numbers could be off. But according to our numbers, $10,000, give or take, would have been reflected on your credit card statements in connection with things of potential benefit to Ms. Willis, okay? I want you just to assume that. Assuming that there was $10,000 that you had on your credit cards, is it your testimony that Ms. Willis paid you back $10,000 in cash? I'm not asking about...
Kind of object the characterization of $10,000 for Ms. Willis's travel. I don't believe is an accurate reflection of what the numbers, at least the summary that I've been provided by the defense, would reflect. I think that's joint travel. Is that right, Mr. Sato? I'm sorry.
No, it's not joint travel. But all I'm trying to understand, I'll rephrase because I don't want to get bogged down on specific numbers. You would have received thousands of dollars in cash from Ms. Willis, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And the thousands of dollars in cash from Ms. Willis, do you know, I'm not asking you whether she took it out of her pocketbook or she took it out of a suitcase. I'm saying, do you know the source of the cash?
Nope.
Just that, out of her pocketbook. Yes, sir.
You don't know where she obtained the cash?
I didn't ask her.
And the whole time that she was paying you in cash, you never said, hey, why do you have this amount of cash?
Why would, Mr. Sato, in my practice, people come into my law firm all the time with cash. I never question where they got it.
Yeah, but we're talking not about people that come into your law firm. We're talking about the district attorney of Fulton County who I'm assuming receives a paycheck. She doesn't get paid in cash.
So just like you assumed, I assumed she got it from her paycheck. I don't know.
Okay. But of course, it's already been, and I'm not going to go back into it. You've not seen any records indicating withdrawals of cash from Miss Willis at all.
Why would I ask her?
I didn't
No,
ask.
sir.
All I said is you haven't, right?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, can you explain why you filed for divorce one day after you were hired by Miss Willis? You filed on November 2nd of 2021. You're hired on November 1st of 2021. Why the day after?
You mean one day before? So
you filed for divorce one day after you were hired, right?
Okay. I'll answer your question.
Okay, please.
So in 2015, when my wife had the affair, we had a conversation that we would divorce right then. Again, the better practice, at least for my children at the time, was to stay in place
kids is watching this right
until
now.
the youngest could graduate and matriculate into college. We did that. When she graduated, matriculated into college, at the time my wife had moved back and forth to Houston, to Texas. So she's in Texas. We take our child off to college. We come back to Georgia for a brief period of time. Divorce gets filed. She gets served. There we go. Now, the reason that date was selected.
Yes, sir. That's what I asked.
The specific reason that specific date was selected was because she was only in town for a brief.
Your Honor, this is attorney-client privilege. Why he decided to file this?
And why do you have the right to object on his behalf for attorney-client privilege?
Because.
Well, I don't make a formal objection.
All right, there we go. And
I believe that he's already attempted to answer this question, and there was no privilege raised. So he's given a partial answer, and now he's about to finish that. So first of all, I don't think it's covered by attorney-client privilege, and I'll deal with that if you want me to. But otherwise, he's already answered part of it. So he doesn't get to say, now I'm going to stop. So.
Well, it was a long preface, but I don't think it ever actually got to what might have been at issue there. So if you can lay the foundation, we'll deal with the objection.
Okay. Take a step back. Okay. You realize that an attorney-client privilege is the privilege of the client, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you, in connection with your representation, at least has been proffered to the court by Mr. Bradley, that it's up to you to decide whether you want to raise the privilege, right?
Yes, sir.
It's not up to Mr. Bradley.
Yes, sir.
So you have the power, in order to get to the truth of the matter, you have the power to waive the attorney-client privilege, do you not?
I believe that's an appropriate question. The privilege is there.
Whether he uses it or not, it doesn't matter why. Mr. Sato, I think if we're trying to get to the answer
Shout
to
out
the
to
question,
Mark
let's
Meg. That's a real question right
whether
there.
it covers the question you were trying to get to.
And if I may finish, and your position is you have no intention of waiving your attorney-client privilege, correct?
That's correct.
All right, so now, can you answer the question why you waited until November 2nd, the day after you were hired by Ms. Willis, to file for divorce?
I can.
Okay.
So, again, Joycelyn had relocated to Texas, and she had been in Texas for months. She was only here for a brief period of time to drive my daughter's car back with her. And when she came here to do that, I was able to then get her served.
Okay, so your answer as to why you waited until the day after you were hired by Ms. Willis, which would be November 1st, 2021, to file the complaint for the divorce on November 2nd, 2021, your testimony under oath is because your wife was here. But had not been here in October, had not been here in September, had not been here in August of 2021.
She had been in Texas taking care of her ailing mother and
your testimony,
an aging father. So the first opportunity that I had after
So was she down there to relocate, or was she down there to take
Speaking
care
with
of
my lawyers to take care of that was the
Was
date
she down
it was
there
filed and served.
take care of her
because she happened
parents,
to
or
be
was she
here.
down there to
It
relocate?
had nothing to do with, that was purely coincidental, that contract.
I understand it's purely coincidence, your testimony.
Yes,
My
sir.
specific-
And understand that this was by agreement between she and I, she being my wife and I, that we would divorce when the children matriculated out, and that there would actually have been an agreement attached to the filing. It became apparent that the agreement wasn't going to happen, and things got a little contentious. So that's when the privilege will kick in, and I was forced to do it when I did it.
So
I'm supposed to
if
be in
I
a meeting
understood
for work
correctly,
right now.
again, you tell me if I'm wrong. Is it your testimony that your wife was not in Atlanta, Georgia, or the metro area throughout October of 2021?
No.
That's
In
not your
October,
testimony?
in October of 2021, she was back and forth between here and Texas.
So she was, at least on some occasions, in the Atlanta area.
But that was during the time when we were working through the consent agreement that fell through.
Again, I think we're pretty far afield on relevance. The answer to the question about
So the consent agreement didn't come until you started getting into
Understood,
a
Ms. Cross.
conversation.
Ms. Sado, where are we going?
Well, Fani Willis.
We're about to finish this area since
The
I'm not going to be able to
consent
go any
agreement
further
didn't
about
start until
If
you
we
was
wanna call
already
the
in
X, we'll
contact
call the
with and
X for
having a
that
conversation with Fani.
Well, we're going to have to discuss whether that's a collateral issue altogether.
No, I'm just saying if. I didn't say we will, but we'll.
Okay.
All right, so you said that you were aware of the contracts that Mr. Bradley and Mr. Campbell had with the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, correct?
Yes, sir.
The
And how did
consent
you become aware
agreement
of
didn't start getting negotiated until 2021.
Just through conversation, they
With
told me.
who? Conversation with who?
Mr. Bradley and Mr. Campbell.
So you were discussing matters with Mr. Bradley which were not related to attorney-client privilege, correct?
Related to the contracts, yes.
Okay, but you were having conversations that would not, even though, if I understood correctly, Mr. Bradley was your attorney at the time, correct?
At what time?
At the time that
And Big
Mr.
J was
Bradley
alive.
received his contract from Fulton County, which would have been beginning of January or in January of 2021, right?
Is that the date of his contract?
Pretty close.
I don't know what the date of his contract was, but if it was after the date of the filing of the divorce,
It is, McCall.
then
It's
then,
hard to
then
keep
yeah.
a lie up.
I'm not talking about after the date of the filing of the divorce. It's been represented to the court that you had an attorney-client relationship with Mr. Bradley from 2015 forward.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
When Mr.
Sister,
Bradley
you said
received
you're gonna
his
have to have me
contract
put in
with
my
Fulton County,
leave to slip
that was in
work.
2021, correct?
My leave slip
I
to
don't
work.
We can prove that through other evidence. But at the time that Mr. Bradley was doing work for Fulton County, if I understand, you still had an attorney-client privilege, at least you're claiming one, with Mr. Bradley, correct?
I'm supposed to be in a meeting right now. I got another meeting at
Yes.
2:30 though.
So when you talk to
23 minutes.
Mr. Bradley
23 minutes, I
about
got another
matters
meeting.
with his contract in Fulton County, those were not covered by your attorney-client privilege, correct?
They were not.
Okay, and that meant that not all communications with Mr. Bradley were covered by attorney-client privilege, correct?
Well, those certainly weren't.
Well, but my question was, not all communications with Mr. Bradley were covered by, at least as you've been represented to the court, by the attorney-client privilege, correct?
Those communications were not.
So there were communications outside of the attorney-client privilege, correct? With Mr.
Yeah,
Bradley.
If you're asking me if I ever communicated with him outside of the attorney-client privilege, the answer is yes.
Okay.
I communicated with him outside the attorney-client privilege.
Let's finish this up. And did you call it Roman number 4? Or just defense? Okay. In defense exhibit number 4, and Mr. Gillen went over with you your responses to certain interrogatories on May the 30th, 2023. Remember that?
Yes, sir.
We
Not
got
going
after
back
hours
into
tonight
those,
too,
the
y'all.
words and the interrogatories are already in evidence, so we're not going to do that.
If y'all not subscribed to After Hours, make sure y'all
The ones
subscribe.
that we've gone into, there were 2 of them.
Reading super chat shortly.
And your answer to both of those was none, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, on January 25th of
Nicole,
2024,
I'm good. Don't worry about me.
Yes, sir.
You again were in a position that you answered those same interrogatories, the 2 that we're talking about. I can get specific if we need to, but as long as we understand we're talking about the same 2,
yes,
right?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. And they are in Defense Exhibit number 6, and they are interrogatories number 4 and number 5.
Okay. Go ahead.
No, I want you to be able to see it. So it's a Defense Exhibit number 6.
I don't.
See, you have 6 up there. I'm told that you have 6.
Okay.
UAW want to unionize the moderators? Shout out to your car.
Here we are. Okay. You would agree with me that in Defense Exhibit number 6, and we're talking about interrogatories of January 25, 2024.
Yes, sir.
That as to interrogatory number 4, that's the same interrogatory, same words that were in the interrogatory that Mr. Gillen went over, which was dated May 30th of 2023, correct?
Yes, sir.
And your original response
He is getting grilled, Knobs.
in Defense Exhibit number 6 was none, correct?
Yes, sir.
Your updated response was the plaintiff declines to respond to this interrogatory and asserts his privilege pursuant to OCGA section 24.
Hey, remember when a white guy came up and he said, hey, listen,
correct?
I'm not going to
Yes,
be before you long. I just want to get straight to the point.
You know
And we
that
gonna sit down.
24-5-505 breaks down into two privileges, right?
Which is why I was specific. I said I asserted the privacy privilege.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. In your updated response, there's no reference to privacy, correct?
Yes, there is in the code section 24-5-505.
Okay, but it also
reference to privacy.
Right. Just go with me, okay? That code section says, does it not? No party or witness shall be required
This dude
to
drinking a lot of
testify
water.
as to any matter which may incriminate or tend to incriminate such party or witness, or which shall tend to bring infamy, disgrace, or public contempt upon such party or witness. You'd agree with that, right?
I'm not reading it.
I'm sorry?
I'm not reading it. I don't have it in front of me.
If I may.
Mr. Seno, we can, I can take judicial notice that is what the rule says if you want to ask him any follow-up questions.
Okay, thank you. You are not claiming that your answer to number 4, interrogatory number 4, on January 25th, 2024, incriminates you, that is, as in Fifth Amendment privilege, right?
That's correct.
You're claiming the second part, that it would bring infamy, disgrace, or public contempt, correct?
I'm going to object to that. I don't think that's the full thing, but and also the witness doesn't have it in front of him, so I don't know how he could respond to that. He has said several times privacy is largely invoked that statutory.
Overruled.
I'm claiming privacy.
The privilege that you make reference to is to infamy, disgrace, or public contempt upon the witness, right? Or party. That's the section that you were relying on, correct?
If that's what it says, yes, sir.
Okay, look, I could show you, but I think the court has already indicated he can take judicial notice of the statute. So you assume that what I'm telling you is accurate, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How would an answer of none bring infamy, disgrace, or public contempt upon you?
So, as I explained in direct of Mr. Roman's counsel, the minute she elected to intervene into my divorce proceeding, I then started to understand the bigger picture, which was that all the attorneys in the election interference case were colluding with Joycelyn's divorce lawyer. And because of that, I said, privacy. I don't want my divorce proceeding to bleed into this criminal proceeding. I just didn't want that.
So you raised a privilege, if I understand, that indicated that your answer would bring infamy, disgrace, or public contempt upon you, right?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the relevance of this. It's been asked and answered several times.
Shout out to Antonio Watkins.
I think I can finish that up by saying you didn't say none again. You asserted a privilege, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And you did the same thing, did you not, with number 5?
That's correct.
That is, you didn't say none again, right?
Correct.
Okay. Is the answer to the interrogatory number 4, as you have it in front of you, is the answer none? Is that the truth?
The answer is to that interrogatory is as I placed it at the time I responded, sir.
I'm asking you now, is the answer to that interrogatory none?
The answer is still privilege.
All right. So he's apparently electing to apply the same privilege, Mr. Sadao, to that exact same question.
And I have a case which indicates that we can get beyond that if the court deems that appropriate.
And to what end? To what end?
That the privilege actually does not apply and he must answer the question.
And where does that get us? Even if he answers the question, hasn't he already kind of said everything he has to say about the nature of the relationship, how long it lasted, when it ended?
No, I think it would prove. I think if he is forced or compelled to answer the question, he will either answer it falsely by saying none, or he answers it truthfully by saying yes, and then telling us what it is. That's what I believe. That's why I'm asking.
But the interrogatory you're referring to, though, the question contained there.
Two interrogatories, yes, sir.
It's the entertaining one. It's whether there were other relationships, right?
With a specific language that's in the interrogatories.
Sure. Haven't you already covered that in all the other questions that we've had so far?
But we have, but again, the court could, if I could require or compel an answer from him as to whether his answer would still be none, then we would know whether or not he was telling the truth. Now, if the answer is no, then obviously there was a time in the past where he was not. It simply requires him to now answer under oath what he refused to answer and claimed, what I might suggest, is a bogus privilege, and that you can pierce that privilege because it's a material fact in connection with this case. Again, it's a call that Your Honor makes. I have the case law that says you can do that, but it's your discretion.
Ms. Cross?
Your Honor, Mr. Wade's been on the stand now for several hours. He's been asked and answered very personal questions that I believe cover the issues. Mr. Sadao is making an argument, and this is probably an argument to make for the later to the court and not a question to propound.
So as I see it, the only relevance these interrogatories have to this case really whatsoever would be as either prior inconsistent or consistent statements. And to that end, I think the question has been put to him again and again and again. He's answered how he believes he felt his answer should be and why he answered a certain way. And as it goes to credibility, I think at this point we're arguing weight, and I don't really see the value in pushing this issue further. So,
all right. Well, just for the record, the case that I was going to refer to is State versus Wakefield at 324 Georgia Appeal 587, and specifically, let's see, it would be 590, in which they talk about this specific privilege. This is a 2013 case. And then they footnote to footnote 3. And footnote 3 says, there are times when the materiality of the evidence outweighs the testimonial privilege. And it goes and explains what that is. That's what I'm bringing up.
And I see what you're saying, that we could say that you need to answer the question regardless of the privilege you asserted. At this point, though, I think we've covered that ground and we're ready to move on.
Okay. Based on that, I have nothing else. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. McCulloch, anything? On behalf of Mr. Floyd. Moving through defense counsel.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm looking behind you. Mr. McCulloch, okay. On behalf of Mr. Floyd, he's elbowing you, sir. Okay. Mr. Cromwell.
Nothing, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Cross.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Wade, have you still got exhibit number 14 in front of you? The one with all of the invoices, I believe.
I believe I have them all.
Give me one second. I'll be right back.
So you were asked, Mr. Wade, about a couple of the invoice items. And your testimony, I think, was that the percentage of income post special counsel appointment in November 2021, the percentage of your income roughly after that time was about 50-50 Fulton versus other income from your law practice, correct?
Roughly, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sometimes more, sometimes less?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. How about your time? I'm interested in the percentage of your time from November 2021 to, let's say, the close of the special purpose grand jury when it was dissolved in January 2023. Can you estimate for us the percentage of your time that was spent on Fulton County work versus other work?
Oh, gosh. 99% of the time here in this building working on this case.
All right. It was, as I understood your testimony, it was an intense period in terms of hours while that special purpose grand jury was meeting, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And who was head or manager of the election integrity case during that time for the district attorney's office?
I was.
You were coordinating the efforts?
Yes, ma'am.
And those efforts included not just the proceedings that were happening in this building, correct?
That's correct.
We don't need to go all through it, but is your representation that 99.9% of the time, let's restrict it to 2022, 99% of your professional working time was devoted to this case?
Yes, ma'am.
And the remainder, whatever it was to some of your other cases that were ongoing?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. 2022, I want to focus on that a little bit because if we are looking at, I believe, the financial affidavits, do you have those in front of you as well?
I do.
The financial affidavit that was filed in your divorce case in January 2022, you estimated your monthly income at that time was $14,000 a month, right?
In 22?
January 22.
Yes, ma'am.
January 23, what'd that number come to?
9,000.
What about 2024?
I don't know.
Is that there in front of you? Is that one? That's not one of the ones that's there in front of you?
No, ma'am.
All right. So as reflected in those financial affidavits, your income decreased as a result of your work in this case, correct?
Significantly.
The structure of your firm, we talked a lot about that, and I don't want to go through it anymore, but than we need to. But 2022, the structure of your firm changed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. In the early part of 2022, there were three of you. You and Mr. Campbell and Mr. Bradley, you split expenses, is that right?
That's correct.
And you profit shared among yourselves, correct?
Correct.
Right. After Mr. Bradley left the firm, then there were just two of you, correct?
That is the cause of the significant change. Yes, ma'am.
So now you have two people bringing in income, correct?
Correct.
And one of those people, you, is spending almost all of your time devoted to this election integrity case, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And your income from this election integrity case is less than what it was the year before.
Yes, ma'am.
We talked about the monthly caps, or we didn't talk about it. There was talk about the monthly cap that was included in your contracts, indicating there was a certain threshold.
All of these are softball questions. She's just trying to refute everything that he was asked, that he kind of got tripped up on previously. So I don't think that there's any more else to see in that. Let me read some of the super chats. And then we're going to go from there. We got after hours tonight also, ladies and gentlemen. Starman says, shout out to the Chasers. If y'all not a part of the Patreon and the Chasers, the link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. This was a special live stream today, so we pivoted from what our normal show would be. And then we'll get back to normal, maybe, depending on what the rest of this case is, but we'll have that conversation later. Chris James says, blessed. Shout out to Chris James for supporting the platform. I appreciate you. Also want to give a shout out to my dog Regime. Says it was crazy. Shout out to Regime. Mr. Lott is in the building. Mr. Lott says, think about the draft coming this spring. The patrols will be heavy, and I will be sitting right up in my condo. 99 Gamer says, how do you know Christianity is the right religion? Well, I have a special relationship with Jesus, and so it lines up with, and it's been proven to me through my actions, through my faith, through the works. And so I think that the evidence of how it transitioned into my life and the very principles and the foundation by which I've stood my entire family on and the results that come along with it, it more or less aligns with it. Now, I can go into all of the other stuff and say that I know what the voice of God is and stuff like that, but I don't want to get into that. I just want to keep it surface level. Spaces says this attorney is not wasting taxpayers' money for sure. Grayway is in the building and says, looks like Nate got himself in a bind. I'm in a bind, Nate. Shout out to Nate. Martin Meck says, Wade, a poor lawyer, beholden to the power of Fani. It sounds like Fani was the one that was poor out here in these streets. Mark Rush says his nose needs to grow like Pinocchio. Shout out to Mark Rush. Kicking it with a chef says, Anton, I am in dire need of a coaching call. My life is in shambles. I don't know what to do. Are they included in the Patreon? Now you got to email me. Email me at antondaniels413@gmail.com. antondaniels413@gmail.com in order to get you a coaching call. It's much different than the bag chasers. Way better plead. Hashtag me too. Fani's ship is sinking. It's only $15 to join the bag chasers. It's only $15. Pookie's friend Ray Ray says, elderly black woman just commended me for driving migrants to other cities. I really feel like I'm doing my community a service. Will, the CNA is in the building, says, rope-a-dope style. First, they used a woman to give him a false sense of confidence. Then, pow, got him. That's what it seemed like the strategy was. These people are very, very, very crafty. They go on and say, William Livingston says, Nathan's ex-wife has taken all of the money in a divorce. Man, that dude probably settled out of his mind. Antonio Watkins says, I have not heard him say, you feel me? Not one time, similar to how the guy was last night. Shout out to him. Shout out to Mr. Wade for not giving fillers in his speech. Hashtag Trey. Appreciate you, Antonio Watkins. Chris James is in the building with the 20 ball, says, this is a contract given by the Fulton County due to the amount they had to go through, a RFP bid, regardless of the incumbent, because this contract exceeded a certain amount for the P card. They compromised the bidding process. There wasn't no bidding process. They got that bag, though. He a high-value man, though. Listen, he wasn't cheating. He was exercising options. Mark Meck says, did or didn't you bust it down for a real one? Busted down for a real one. Antonio Watkins is in the building, says, I've been here before. The price of the brick just went up. It went up August 21st, 2021. Facts. Facts. That's a fact, though. Shout out to Antonio Watkins. Time Out is in the building, says, I told my boss I'm in a meeting with Anton. Now I don't need to attend my sync meeting. Don't tell nobody. I'm about to go into my 2:30. I got 4 minutes to prepare. Shout out to Time Out. AP Funding says, I have multiple homes in Fulton. My taxes is up 30%. Shout out to everybody that's holding down the platform. I appreciate you. Let me see if there's anything that they're saying that will cause me to skip out on my meeting right now.
As you understand the term funds, does that include cash?
Yes.
Does that include credit?
Yes.
Does that include reimbursements?
Yes.
You didn't represent in your affidavit, Mr. Wade, that you were including all of the receipts from funds or travel expenses that were paid on your behalf by District Attorney Willis, correct?
That's correct.
You had, I think your conversation with Ms. Merchant was you produced
all softball questions. All right, so listen. Life is good. I will continue to keep you guys updated, and I've been following this the entire time. Anton from AntonDaniels.com absolutely has to jump into this 2:30 because it's a meeting among executives, all right? So listen, I'm going to stay on top of it. We do have to do a makeup show. On Saturday because we had to pivot from the day. But I love you guys. I appreciate you. You are the greatest audience on earth. We got after hours tonight, and that's going to be popping. If you're not a part of the Patreon, link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. And Tiege Hanley, 30% off your first order plus a free gift. I need y'all to do me one more favor before we get up out of here today. Make sure you share this with your family and friends. We don't want to be successful by ourselves. I love you. I appreciate you. We're going to stay on top of this because one thing we know for certain and two things is for sure is that it always comes back down to the money. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.